Test 1, 2. There you go. Oh. Did it work? Okay. There we go. Welcome, everyone. We were having computer issues up here, so somebody had to reboot or reprogram or whatever. But we are calling this meeting to order. Today's date, September 22, 2025. The time is 5:30 p.m. We are at 10 West State Street, which happens to be the address for the City Council chambers. We are here at a regularly scheduled City Council meeting. Would those available and able join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag. Very good. Roll call, please.
Fonseca? Here. Kell?
Here.
Lottie
Here.
Mitchell?
Here.
Nichols?
Here.
Schneider?
Here.
Thompson?
Here. Very good. Full, almost full house. And it is now time for public comment. And I will be making a comment about the Legionnaire's disease. We just got some information this afternoon about that. But for public comment, members of the public may make comments on any item that was not on the agenda. Approach the mic, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes unless authorized longer. Direct your comments to the mayor and council as a whole. And the mayor and council may provide a response to public comment, but shall not engage in discussion or debate on items raised by members of the public in order to not fall in bad standing with our open meetings laws. With that said, the microphone is open. Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Yeah, that
You
mic.
go turn it up. See if it's turned on. Jim,
Yeah, it's still
could you
not.
see if the microphone switch is on? Yeah. Is there?
Oh,
Must be.
I think he got hit with lightning.
Okay. Jim Shaw, 522 North 2nd Street. Last week, Councilman Thompson and I met downtown to try out the back-in parking. It was a failure. Gary's rear bumper would have been in somebody's rear fender, and I was over the line. I could have done better if I'd used my backup camera, but I wanted to try it without because a lot of people do not have cameras. My fiance tried to park, but no one behind her would allow it, so she had to go around the block. She got parked, but she was over the line. There was a TV-13 SUV parked close to me. They were here for the Legionnaires. But I went over and asked the lady, in all her travels around the state, has she ever seen back-in parking? She said she hadn't and wondered what was up with that. She said, it looks kind of stupid. I have to agree. She said she had been parked on the other side of the street, head-in parking. She said a deputy sheriff come over and seen her parked wrong and asked her to move. She asked if she was going to be ticketed, and he said she was in the grace period, but tickets would be forthcoming. 4 people in my apartment complex, and they're all in their 80s, have told me that this is another reason they won't be going downtown. The argument for back-in parking is it's easier to pull out into traffic. But if it's that harder to park in the first place, then where's the benefit? Seeing traffic before you attempt to pull out, not if Councilman Thompson's van is parked next to you. A lot of people on Facebook think like I do, that this is stupid. The solution, admit it was a bad idea, paint over the lines, and paint new ones with head-in parking. I invite all of you to come and try back-in parking and do it with a car on either side of you and see how good you do. Call me first, because I want to witness this. Councilman Thompson also told me it was his idea. He's a friend, but that doesn't mean it's still not a stupid idea.
Mic is still open. Okay. Failing that, we get to go, let's go with years of service before I ask for council and administrator comments. Is there somebody here ready to present for years of service? Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Christopher Cross. I'm the fire chief. And I'd like to reintroduce you to a couple of members that are receiving the 10-year service award tonight, and they are in the back of the room. Could I please have Alex Needham and Tyler Homeyer come up to the front just for a quick second? So I'd like to present Tyler and Alex certificate suitable for framing, the 10-year service award. And I thank you for everything. And just to tell you a little bit about these guys, I can talk to them as like a group because they're pretty much the same guy, just on different divisions. A super high drive, technically, tactically proficient, service before self. This is the future of the leadership of the Marshalltown Fire Department standing before you. They're both wonderful husbands and fathers. Their beautiful families are in the back. Lots of awesome kids, and just pillars of the community, and everything that we should all strive to be. So I'd like to congratulate Tyler and Alex on 10 years of service. You guys want to have a speech or anything?
You might need a picture
Yeah, let's take
taken
a
over
picture.
here. And Chief, did you tell them they're expected to talk for about 5 or 10
Yeah, we're
minutes?
going to have that. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks, Chief. And Brad Bateman is also celebrating 15 years in the engineering department. So congratulations to Brad as well. He's not here, is he? Okay, thank you. All right, then on to, let's go with councilor comments. Anybody wish to speak?
Your Honor, if I may,
You may?
I'd like to have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk and his family. It's a tragic loss to everybody. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Administrator? Anything for you? Okay.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Then it's my turn, and hot off the press, I mean, literally at the meeting here tonight, I just got this letter from the Marshall County Public Health Department with the request that I read this to the council. So let me do it. And that's from Sydney Gruelle, who's our Marshall County Public Health Administrator. To whom it may concern, per Iowa Health and Human Services, HHS, and Marshall County Public Health, it is recommended that this year's Oktoberfest festivities be relocated out of northern Marshalltown, out of an abundance of caution. This decision was not made lightly. We know how deeply this tradition means to our community, our families, and our generations who gather each year to celebrate. Oktoberfest is more than an event. It is a homecoming, place of joy, and reflection of all that makes Marshalltown strong. At the same time, the health and safety of our community must always come first. While relocating festivities will create challenges and disappointments, it is an important step to ensure everyone can celebrate safely. Individuals with cough, fever, or other symptoms of pneumonia should see their primary care provider and ask about Legionella. While most people exposed won't get sick, individuals older than 50 years with chronic medical conditions, smoking history, or other immunocompromised are at higher risk for severe illness. The Marshall County Public Health, HHS, and CDC continue evaluating all possible sources while guiding each business center with cooling towers through offline mediation for the final step of disinfection. And that letter is signed by Sidney Gruelle. So that is the letter I was asked to read, and I have done that as well. With that, let's move on to the consent agenda.
Move to approve, Your Honor. Second.
Roll call?
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Lottiehoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
That has carried. You know, I need to back up a little bit. It wasn't in the letter, but I was given to understand that there was a definition of what is the north end of Marshalltown, and it's the railroad tracks. And so north of the railroad tracks is what I now personally will consider to be the northern part of Marshalltown as relates to the celebration. Okay, you don't have to read those anymore. Let's go on to reports, and this should be a more fun topic than Legionnaires.
Is it okay if I move this? Good evening. I'm Danielle Leakin with Marshalltown Central Business District. Can you hear me okay? All right. I am here to give you our annual report, so thank you for having us. Marshalltown Central Business District prides itself on downtown being the community's living room, and that is the focus of our efforts each year. For the purposes of our conversation tonight, I will be framing my remarks around the 4 points of the Main Street approach. So firstly, we have our organization, which is just strengthening of MCBD itself and our organization and our internal processes. And next, we have our economic vitality, which focuses on small business support. Design, which focuses on beautification of the central business district, and then promotions, which focuses on activating downtown as a community gathering place. And so I will just be focusing on a little bit on what we've done in the past year and what we're going to be looking forward to in 2026 and beyond. As you know, MCBD had a period of transition this year. Deb Millheiser was stolen by the city of Marshalltown, and so I came on in March of 2025 as the director. And so I've spent a lot of that time just really trying to get my feet wet and figure out how this all works. So one thing, starting with our organization, we've implemented some initiatives this year to really streamline our organization as a whole. We did streamline our fundraising campaign process, which rolled out in April, and that broadened our community appeal and increased our relationships with our sponsors. And so we will be rolling out our new fundraising campaign at the end of this year. And so we're kind of going to be shifting when that normally occurs. Additionally, we have expanded our use of Maestro. Maestro is an online database, and the great thing about this program is it allows us to just keep better records. It allows us to be more efficient in our documentation, more efficient in who's downtown, what people are doing downtown. It also really helps us organize our projects so that we make sure none of those minutia get dropped in the process. And so we're really excited about that. And it just does a better job overall of tracking MCBD's efforts. Additionally, in the fall of 2024, we did go through a rebranding process as part of, in partnership with Main Street, Iowa. You can see some of those efforts here. We have a new logo, and we're really leaning into that and trying to position ourselves as a recognizable brand that serves as the anchor for downtown Marshalltown, and so that people know, oh, that's MCBD, that must be them, that's what they're doing, we know what they do. And so we're super excited about that and continuing to roll that out and implement that across the board through our online presence, our social media presence, and just our general presence. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about economic vitality. So one of the things I'm really proud of is we have implemented a business welcome packet. So when a new business opens in Marshalltown, now they get introduced to MCBD. This is who we are. This is what we offer you. These are the services that are available to you. Included in that also, they get familiar with the grants that are available and how to contact me. And so we want to be able to meet them as soon as they get started so that they know how to receive support as a small business in the Central Business District. Additionally, our economic vitality team partnered with some of our corporate partners here in Marshalltown over the summer for the Head Downtown initiative, and so that was really a focus on making sure we were supporting some of our local restaurants during the streetscape revitalization. And so we just encourage those corporate partners to either incentivize or encourage their employees to use those downtown restaurants for their lunch break. And so we saw some success with that. In July, we did do a business survey because we are wanting to kind of keep a pulse on what's happening with our businesses through the streetscape revitalization. Overall, the sentiment was positive. Many of our businesses are optimistic about the changes and what that means for them and their businesses. There were some concerns about decreased foot traffic, reduced sales, but overall, the sentiment was really positive. And so we are going to continue those efforts to make sure that we are offering support and meeting the needs of the businesses that are in our small business community. Back in sometime before I got here, so I don't know when exactly it was rolled out, Main Street America rolled out what's called the Booms Tracker, and this is a really great inventory database for our properties. And so it gives us a lot of real-time data about our properties, who owns the building, when was it built, what's inside of it. And so that will be able to kind of inform what our availability is and how we can fill those vacancies. And so we're really excited about the data collection of that. Throughout the process, since that's been rolled out, Marshalltown has been in like the top 20 of Main Street communities in getting that completed, and so we are hoping to wrap that up this fall. There's a lot of buildings in our district, and so it's been a lot to inventory, but our volunteers have done a great job of staying on top of that and getting that done. We did do 4 incentive grants. 3 have been completed. 1 is still in progress in the last fiscal year. And I have had lots of new inquiries recently. I think it took a while for people to be like, oh, that's Danielle. She's the new director. She can help me. And so I've seen a lot of increase in inquiries in the last 60 to 90 days. Now that I've been here about 6 months, people know who I am and are starting to reach out and seek assistance. We did have 3 businesses close in the fiscal year. Only one of those has closed since the streetscape started, and they were very clear that the streetscape did not impact their business negatively. This was something that predated that process, and so it's kind of the natural ebb and flow of things. But we are really excited because we do have 5 new businesses that are in various stages of development that should all be open. Hopefully in the next 6-ish months, we should have all of those open and operating in downtown, so that's really exciting. We do have 3 apartments that are under construction, so those should be done in the near future, so that's very exciting. There were 6 building projects completed in the last fiscal year, 128 since 2002 when MCBD first came into fruition. On that first slide, there was a total of like $97 million in private investment into our downtown since MCBD first came into existence back in 2002. So I think that's a very exciting number about how our citizens and our business community have invested in our downtown. We have seen increased business participation, increased event attendance. We have lots of volunteer hours, so 72,000 volunteer hours. Our volunteer hours for 2025 equates to about $41,000 in investment in our downtown, but $2.5 million since we first started. One of those very unique volunteer opportunities contributes to that 500 pounds of litter removed. So we have our design team has a really great partnership with the Department of Corrections. So every Wednesday during the warm weather months, we have residents from the Marshalltown Residential Facility, and they come down and they pick up trash, they pull weeds, they spray weeds. MCBD provides supplies for that, and they come usually a couple hours, 3 or 4 guys, and they keep our downtowns looking pretty nice. In addition to that volunteer program, we also have our Adopt a Berm program where individuals or businesses can adopt a berm. If you don't know what a berm is, because I sure didn't, it's the green spaces that line the streets where we have plants and flowers downtown. So I did not know what a berm was, and so just in case you don't, that's what they are. And so we have families or businesses or individuals who adopt those spaces and keep them weeded and looking nice. And so that's another great volunteer opportunity for the community. In addition to that, our military banners continue to be a source of recognition and pride. We're very excited to do that again in partnership with America Turning 250 in 2026. So that will be rolling out this fall. I think it's our 6th year doing it. If my math is good, Deb will know. Is she nodding? I think it's 5 or 6. So we're really excited about that. And then we just were notified that we received a grant from the Arts and Culture Alliance and their inaugural organization grant. And so those funds will be put towards our band shell. So as you know, we have the mobile band shell that we purchased from Marshall County. So that will be getting a facelift this fall. In addition to the facelift, it will also be getting some new tires and just making sure it's in great mechanical shape. We're very excited to position the band shell as a bridge for downtown to the broader community, because like Red, White, and Blue uses it. It was used this past weekend for Praise in the Park, so we're really excited to get that looking beautiful and further solidify the MCBD rebrand. And when I got hired, or when I first knew about MCBD, I was like, oh, they do events. So I think that's what a lot of people maybe think. We obviously do way more than that, so I saved it for last. But our events in the last year, so in 2024, Haunt the Block and Holiday Stroll had record-setting attendance. Over the past year, we think we've activated about 12,000 attendees for a variety of events. So we're really excited about that. We're getting ready to do those fall events again, our Haunt the Block and Holiday Stroll. As we move into 2026, you will see some changes from MCBD in the types of events we're hosting. Historically, we have done a lot of retail-centered events, and that just hasn't had the results that we would hope it would have. And so there is a trend coming from the national branch of Main Street America to focus on micro events. And so MCBD will be focusing on making downtown the place to be and getting people into downtown, and so they can see what downtown has to offer. And so we will be hosting a lot more events that are focused on music and food and fun and just getting people down here. And so we'll be back with more details on that as that gets solidified. And so, but our hope is that by creating energy around downtown, we will increase spending and see the positive benefits for our businesses. With that said, I want to talk a little bit about what you can expect from MCBD moving into 2026. So we do want to continue to see our businesses thrive during revitalization. One of our initiatives to make sure that happens is MCBD is now a Grow with Google partner. And so I now am being trained on different topics that I will be hosting classes in 2026 or meetings or trainings for our business community at no charge to help them, ways that you can implement AI, ways to streamline your effectiveness, ways to expand your digital footprint, ways to activate a new customer base. And so we're still working out the details on that, but that will be a service that MCBD will be offering to businesses in the district. Additionally, we are very much focused on creating a business recruitment plan. We've got lots of data, we've got lots of ideas, and we've got lots of energy, and we need to figure out a way to translate that into actually filling our businesses. The Main Street Iowa Fall Workshop is focused on vacancies, so that is next week, and I'm super excited to go and hopefully get some quality ideas to bring back to Marshalltown. And then, as I mentioned, I've spent lots of time getting to know everybody and all the different people that make up this wonderful community that I'm so honored to be a part of. And I hope to just continue to strengthen those relationships so that we can all work together for what's best for Marshalltown and continue to position MCBD and downtown Marshalltown as the living room of this community. We will have, as I mentioned, we will have some expanded community events. You'll see a lot more from us. We're going to have a lot more events, a lot more things happening to bring people to downtown. And then we plan to continue our beautification efforts to activate our community gathering spaces. So in closing, I just want to thank you for your partnership and your support. And we're excited to continue to make sure that downtown is thriving. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Danielle. Are there any questions up here?
Your Honor, I don't have a question, I just have a comment, if that's fine. Danielle, your events, you have the holiday stroll, and this year the tree festival won't be at the Coliseum.
That is correct.
Okay. So I'm publicly going to challenge my counterparts here. For the last 3 years, I've put a tree in the tree festival that all 3 years, everybody's made fun of my stupid little trees, but each one of them is raised over $100 each for the MCBD when they get sold. So I'm going to challenge my everybody else, other counselors. You don't have to put something together that's really great. I mean, if I can do it, you guys can do it. And the proceeds go to the Central Business District. So I will be doing it again this year. So
Our theme this year is snowmen at work, so I'm dying to see snowmen at work. So I'm dying to see a Christmas tree made of traffic cones.
Somehow I'm picturing the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Is that kind of what we're talking about there? Any other questions or comments up here? It isn't something that we typically ask the public to comment about when there's a report like that, but I noticed some people here who are part of the CBD and have done a lot of volunteer work. If you wanted to point them out or have them stand.
Yes,
thank
so
them.
I would like to do that. So my board president, Alicia Fitzgerald, is here. My board vice president, or our MCBD's board vice president, Jim Johnson, is here. And then Skylar Pittman also serves on our promotions committee and is a member of our MCBD board.
Well, thank you all. Report while you're trying to unplug or whatever you have to do up there. Let me move on to motions, just one of those tonight.
Do you want this back full size? I'll let you do
Yep, it's good. Thank you.
it. I was like, oh,
Motion to approve the new retail tobacco license for Mega Saber at 1701 Iowa Avenue East, currently licensed by Yesway.
move for approval, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on this one? I doubt there would be. Roll call.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottie
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Carried. Good enough. On to resolutions. We have several.
Resolution authorizing the payment to the United States Treasury for an arbitrage owed from the 2020A bonds from the transfer of funds from Fund 363 to Fund 362 to cover such payment.
Diana Steiner, Finance
I'd
Director.
actually call for a motion.
I'd move to approve, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Now discussion.
Diana Steiner, Finance Director. So in 2020, we issued $9,590,000 in tax-exempt bonds. Of that, $3 million was to refinance our older bonds that were at a higher interest rate. So when the bonds are spent, or at least after every 5 years, we must calculate the arbitrage. So that is the difference between the interest rate that we are earning and the arbitrage bond yield. So since I've been here, almost 10 years, we've never had to pay back the IRS because the bond yield was always higher than the interest rate that we were earning. And it's the exact opposite at this time. So we may have to, well, we do need to pay the IRS back $62,804. I have Fred Reiser from Barron's and Tate on the phone, and he prepared the computations and is available to answer any questions that you may have about this process. So if you want to go ahead, and Fred, you have a little presentation.
Sure. My name is Fred Reiser. I'm with Barron's Tate Consulting Group. We work with clients on the arbitrage rebate computation. It's a calculation that needs to be done every 5 years or upon redemption of the bonds. If you issue a GO bond and you spend that money in 2 years and the money is gone, you can do a calculation at 2-year dates, and then you don't have to do any updates after that. What is arbitrage rebate? As Diana said, it is earning above your bond yield. So I will try to paint a very vanilla picture of how that looks. When you go to issue a bond, you have different maturities, you'd have different coupons, you have different par amounts, and they're sold at different prices. That aggregate is your bond yield. That is what you are allowed to earn up to. Anything in excess of that is arbitrage. So, for example, let's say you issue $1 million and your bond yield is 3%. If you invest that and you are making 2%, That means on an annual basis, you are making $20,000 of interest earnings on your proceeds, and you are allowed to keep $30,000 of that. So that is generating what we would call negative arbitrage, because you could have earned 30 and you only earned 20. On the flip side of that, if you get a CD or an investment and you make 5% on an annual basis, you are making $50,000 and your bond yield is 3%. That means you are earning $50,000 and you are earning $30,000, and that difference is $20,000, and that's positive arbitrage. That excess is the arbitrage, and the way to true it up is you rebate that back to the IRS. This is IRS Tax Code 148. This was created in the mid to late 80s because the IRS saw people taking advantage of this to where they would say that they would issue tax-exempt debt, not do anything with the money, make the excess profit on investing in taxable monies and keeping that difference. And so the IRS, since they cannot make money off of tax-exempt bonds, they are not going to allow you to make money off of tax-exempt bonds. And when I speak with clients, I use trigger words like issue or problem. Earning arbitrage rebate is not a bad thing. It actually indicates to you that you guys are making a lot of investment income and your bond yield is pretty low, so that means basically you borrowed money pretty cheap to refund these bonds and do these projects. And as Diana mentioned, this is the first time that she has been impacted by, or the city has been impacted by this. This is something that we are seeing across the board. I've been doing rebate for calculations for 20 years, and the last 18 months to 2 years have been kind of hectic for clients because we hit 2020, and with COVID, rates went down. And so people were able to borrow debt or refinance debt at really, really low rates. And then 2023 came along and interest rates went through the roof. And so investment returns are much higher. And we saw this as our business and our clients could be exposed to this. So we started communicating with clients saying, hey, you might want to think about this because I don't want to say anything to you and wait till we get to do a calculation and then you guys owe the IRS money. And I've been in communication with Diane, and she knew that this could be a potential. And so we did the calculation, and you guys unfortunately end up owing money. But like I said, that's not a bad thing. It's not punishment. You didn't do anything wrong. You just, the 20 bonds, you guys got a really good deal and a really low bond yield, and then the excess goes back to the IRS. So the payment is not anything in addition. It's basically a reduction of your earnings. So if you look at the rebate calculation, and we go to page 5, in the middle you'll see future values at 0.686%. 0.686% is what your bond yield is, which is really low. And then if you look over to the right of that, you'll see investment yield. And that shows that those project funds, what they earned. The Fund 362 earned 159, Fund 741 earned 119, and I think Fund 32, that was kind of a wash. The money came in and went out right away. So then you see the $35,000 and the $17,000, that is money that you owed. If you flip to page 8, there is like a footer number going across the bottom, and you'll see $60,000 and $40,000. So that is what those funds earned, or the bond proceeds earned, while you were waiting to pay your project costs. So for those funds, for that time period, you guys made about $100,000, and of that, $52,000 of that has to go back to the IRS. And like I said, I am working with this. We work with a lot of school districts, cities, counties in Iowa and Nebraska, and we are seeing this across the board. Everybody's making payments. Some people, I'm not saying not everybody, but a good chunk. We're probably issuing I would say five to seven reports a month right now where people are making payments. And I have a school district that I'm working with right now that they would be glad to pay $65,000 because they're going to pay over $1 million. So that's arbitrage rebate in a nutshell. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you would like to have more knowledge or whatever, you can give me a call, and you can get my number from Diana, and I'd be more than happy to speak to you.
Thank you, Fred. Does anyone have any questions for Fred?
My only question is this going to be on the midterm test?
Yeah.
I hope not, because man, I try to dumb it down so I can understand it, and I feel like I have a good grasp of it. And then every now and then, you think you know it, and then you start reading the books a little bit. It's like, okay, and it is very interesting and quite a challenge. I had no idea that I would be doing this. When I first got the job, I told my wife. She goes, "What are you going to be doing?" And I'm like, "Doing something called arbitrage rebate." She goes, "Is that real?" Like, I hope so, because it's going to hopefully pay the bills. So I am a popular / unpopular person right now, because I sometimes am the bearer of bad news in the regards of having to make a payment to the IRS. So I got to try to paint a rosy picture on, hey, you guys, you did really good. And I joked with Diana, if we would go back to 2020 and you guys would be looking at your investment income, you'd be like, we have millions of dollars and we made $10 this month. Now you are making money, doing pretty well.
Anybody up here have any questions? I guess we can open to the public too.
Tim Bradbury, 12 North 10th Avenue. My question is, can somebody give you a heads up before you have to pay this bill, that you're aware that this is going on, so you have money saved for it? Or are we caught off guard that we got to find the money for it?
Would you like me to answer that?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So, like I said, what we try to do, we try to be proactive, and you can do interim calculations if you'd like. I try to keep costs to everybody that I work with to a minimum, and I only get paid to do calculations. So if I'm doing multiple calculations for you guys on one bond issue, that's going to increase cost, and I want to try to keep that to a minimum. And with our clients, once we are aware of a bond issue, we usually, you can't do the calculation until the money's gone, but you can get an idea of where you're at. And I know we've been in communication with the city, just kind of gauging where we're going to be at, and we try to, paint a picture, just saying, okay, if you know you're making 3% on your money, you're only going to get to keep a portion of that, and I let I give my little spiel, and I work for you guys, so I have you tell me what you want to do. If you feel that I work with some cities that they know that they're going to owe, and they could owe $1 million, but they're like, okay, we have, and $1 million, I'm talking on like $100 million bond issue. And they are well aware of it, and they just know in the back of their mind, and they have the money to pay for it. Now, I can work with the county, and they want to be more tight on stuff, to where they may want us to look at things a little bit closer to give them a ballpark of where they're going to be at. And I think in my communications with the city, I think there was the potential for rebate, but I also I think that you guys felt that if there was a payment, it wasn't going to be substantially large, and that you would be able to cover it.
So the second half of this resolution is, where are we going to pay the money from? So some of the projects that were used for this bond were stormwater, and so we did the allocation between stormwater and capital projects. So we're going to use Enterprise Fund 740, which is the stormwater fund, to pay about $15,000 in interest. And then the capital project fund, we will reopen the bond 362, pay the interest out of there, and then use those expenses that we originally applied towards the bond and push it into Fund 363, which is the 2021A bond.
Comments, questions?
Your Honor, if I may, I just want to touch on something that Fred said. Fred, you kind of hinted, what does the city want to do or what they would like to do? Well, this for us, this was kind of a perfect storm. We had staff turnover at some high levels. We had COVID. What we'd have liked to have done is borrowed the money and spent it on the projects we borrowed it for instead of putting it in the bank and letting it draw interest.
Well, right, yeah, it's a perfect storm to where, the IRS, like I mentioned, they don't make anything off of tax exempt debt because the investors that hold it don't have to pay any taxes on it. And so they are okay with you guys borrowing money, but their whole goal is for you to borrow it and spend it. And 2020, we're hitting, people got their money and then COVID comes and then projects get delayed. You're not spending it quick enough. And then the big one is interest rates shot up. That is, and not just gradually. Like I had a client, I think in 1 month they were making 0.5% on their investments. The next month it jumped to like 1.5%, and then it jumped to 2%, and then it was at 5%. So within 3 months, even if you saw this coming down the road, I don't think you could have done enough projects to avoid that. And it has a bunch of people in a pinch, and it was our goal to just try to talk to as many people as we could. And that's sometimes that is the difficulty of our job. Not for you guys because we have a pretty good working relationship, but there are cities and counties that have no idea what this is, and just trying to make them aware of it is a challenge. And so we work with bond counsels and the underwriters just saying, hey, you need to make sure that you get this addressed.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Your Honor.
Thank you. Anyone
Honor?
else? Yeah, sure.
Fred, do you think that the city right now, as far as notifications and everything like that we're doing everything correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I said, the calculations have to be done within 5 years. If you owe the IRS, it has to be paid within 60 days of that. And it's a post-issuance compliance thing that you need to do. And making a payment is basically telling the IRS we're doing what we're supposed to do. We did the computation. We realized that we owe money, and here is that back. Now, I have some other people that don't believe in that, and they owe the IRS, and they have to make a late payment and stuff like that. But no, the city is doing what they're supposed to do. And like I said, this is just this payment isn't punishment, and you didn't do anything wrong. You just got caught in a perfect storm. And this impact bonds issued in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So. The next bond issue will be the 21 issue, and I've been in communications with Diana on that one, and just kind of, just wait and see what you guys want to do. And, once you're ready to move forward with the calculation, we can definitely do that.
So the arbitrage on the 2021 bond is about 1.3. So still very cheap of what we were borrowing for.
Anyone else up here? Let's please call the roll.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Lottie
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Okay, what's our next resolution? The doghouse.
Resolution rejecting all bids for the 21 West Main Street Doghouse Project, PRC 210022 in the city of Marshalltown, Iowa.
Move to approve.
Thanks.
Second.
Discussion?
Good evening, Deb Millizer, Housing and Community Development Director. This does relate to the doghouse at 21 West Main Street, the rebuild and stabilization project. On July 28th, the City Council ordered construction and approved preliminary plans and specifications for the project. Bids were opened on September 16th. Only one bid was received, and that was from R.H. Grabow Construction out of Boone. The base bid with a base bid of $198,000, which was substantially higher from the engineer's estimate of $149,399. Given the limited bidder participation and the higher cost, staff recommends rejecting the bid and pausing the project timeline. During this pause, we will have conversations with contractors to encourage broader participation and more competitive pricing when the project is rebid. This approach will ensure that we're being responsible with the use of public funds while maintaining the city's commitment to downtown revitalization. Staff recommends approval of the resolution rejecting all bids received for this project and authorizing staff and engineer to revise and rebid the project.
Thank you. Questions, comments up here? Out in public? Please call the roll.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Lottie
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Carried as well. And our third one.
Resolution authorizing the City of Marshalltown to participate in the secondary manufacturers and Purdue-Sackler National Opioid Settlement.
For approval. Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Your Honor. The city previously participated in national opioid settlements. These are two new settlements that are available, the Purdue-Sackler settlement and secondary manufacturer settlement. In order to participate, we have to execute a participation and release form. And if we do not, then we are not able to share in the settlement funds. Also, if the more entities that participate in Iowa, the more of the overall pool of money that's available to communities in Iowa. So I'd ask that the council approve execution of the necessary agreement.
Any discussion? Out there? Please call this roll.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Lottie
Yes.
Carried. And from resolutions to ordinances. What's our first of two?
Ordinance 15111 to amend the official zoning map for 212 East State Street from Urban Core Zoning District to Mixed Use Zoning District. First reading.
Move for approval. Second.
Very good. Discussion? Clayton?
Good evening, Clayton Ender, Assistant Director, Housing Community Development. Before you is a rezoning request for 212 East State Street. This property is currently zoned Urban Core Zoning District. The request is to the Mixed Use Zoning District. The purpose of the request is to support development of the site for a restaurant with a drive-through. Specifically, McDonald's is the intended restaurant. And property is... Where's the, am I missing where the agenda is?
You might have to open a new tab. That's
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if we had it open. I'm sorry. Property is shown on the city's comprehensive plan as downtown mixed use, so the use, yeah, that one's not working, sorry. I am struggling. Thank you. I'm doing too many things at once.
Yeah, here's where I never know where to click, though.
Applicant has provided a concept site plan and concept architecture for how the site might develop. Please note that approval of a rezoning does not constitute approval of the site plan or architecture. Should the rezoning be approved, that would still need to go through formal approval processes, but they are provided to help illustrate intent on the site. I was trying to pull this up here. Building would largely be located on the eastern edge of the site here. Drive-through that would wrap around from the north around to the south. Access off of North 3rd, State, and 2nd Avenue. It is of note that access to North 3rd Avenue, that is Highway Highway 14, that is ultimately an Iowa DOT approval. City can certainly provide comment, but they are Iowa DOT is the final decision maker regarding any access to North 3rd Avenue. And then here's the conceptual architecture. Main difference, reason for the rezoning, the urban core district does allow for a restaurant with a drive-through, the same as mixed-use district. The primary difference is urban core requires a minimum of a 2-story building height. Mixed use does not, but it does still require some additional height to lend itself to the appearance along the public facades. So that'd be like 3rd Ave, State Street, and to hide mechanical equipment on the rooftops. Another primary difference is the urban core district has a minimum setback of 5 feet, a maximum setback of 10 feet. The mixed-use district does not have a maximum setback. It is just a minimum setback. We do have representatives of the applicant available tonight, and this has been before the Planning and Zoning Commission. They have recommended approval. And should this move forward, we have set public hearing for your second reading, which will be your next meeting. With that, I'd be happy to answer questions. I can go into further detail as needed.
Well, let's start up here if there are any questions or comments about it.
Your Honor? So this isn't of approval for this. It'd be more like the questions to make comments on street entrances for the final design. I know that's not part of this.
You can certainly provide comment on that,
Right,
but that
so-
you are not approving this tonight.
I understand that clearly. So concern number one, the exit into 2nd Avenue is awful close to the corner there. Could, especially at Harvest Market, could somebody get out of that exit and actually get squared up by the time they are into that intersection? And second item, I'd like to propose, and it's not the city, I understand that, expanding that alleyway entrance and reducing the number of entrances off of Highway 14 so that that helps with the traffic and keeps it further away from the light. So those are suggestions. I understand the Highway 14 is not the city's call.
And we do have representatives of the applicant. They may choose to come up and elaborate on their design choices and how they could respond to that.
Your Honor, I'd also like to back up what he's saying. I know this is not about the site plan, but I would discourage access to Highway 14, keep it on State Street and 2nd Ave if we could. I could just see some traffic issues with a busy intersection right there. And I know that's what this restaurant is targeting, is busy intersection, but I think it would be best to keep the on and off traffic off of 14.
Other comments up here?
Your Honor, if I may. I'm going to just basically parrot what these two just said. We did have a study done, and they did bring up access from Highway 14 to be minimized, I believe, if that's possible. I think if enough of the counselors agree with that, that might help with the DOT's decision, but knowing that ultimately it is the DOT's decision as far as putting that in. Also, I think I'm going to go ahead and say that I've been studying this quite a bit, and I'm going to support this resolution for the McDonald's. I've lived in Ward 1 for over 40 years, and it's kind of disheartening when businesses close up and move away. We used to have quite a few eating places along 3rd Avenue. The only two that are left is Dairy Queen and Haley's, and they've hung in there to their credit. But I do think that we need more on the north end. For a while, Ward 1 wasn't worth investing in, and now it is again. And that's a good thing. I'm also looking at 30 to 40 jobs, walkable jobs, jobs that people can walk to. I also think the food is at a price point that most of the people in Ward 1, anyway, will enjoy. $2 to $3 million investment isn't anything to sneeze at, but that lot's been sitting there for 8 years empty. If somebody else really wanted it, they had 8 years to jump in there. And as disappointed as my daughter is that a bebop isn't going there, I think that overall it's a good thing. As far as I know, there's no special economic incentives being given other than what is offered for that zoning, correct?
There are no economic incentives that are being offered, like a development agreement or a tax incentive.
Yeah. Now, if they would move north further, they would get into where TIF could be possibly offered something like that.
There hasn't been anything requested for it.
Okay. I think that it's a good thing. And I know that there's been a lot of discussion about it. But most of the people that I talk to, and I've talked to quite a few in my ward anyway, either they're neutral because they don't eat there, or they're excited about it. So I'm totally in favor of this.
Your Honor,
Yes.
Clayton, could you go to the that downtown parking attachment? Go down a little bit. Yeah.
Is that a separate agenda item?
Yeah, it is, but I want to see that map. I want to pull up that map. So that map right there, is that our downtown business district? Is that the Marshalltown Central Business District? It is, Danielle? Okay. Yep.
I'm hearing yes.
Yes, so it is. Okay. So can we zoom in into that lot right there? The lot we're talking about?
Yeah, that would be
Yep.
this
That would be
northeastern portion right inside the boundary.
Not Main Street, but Marshalltown downtown.
This lot is outside
Okay.
the downtown district.
Oh, the Central Business District. Okay. Okay.
This map is urban core, correct?
Is this map urban core?
It appears it is. I'm not sure who generated this map. Anyone on?
It's from Public Works.
I don't know if you're able to elaborate.
If you zoom out, there's a label on that red line of what line
Oh, what? Oh, what?
Area zoned urban core, so it's the urban core boundaries.
Thank you, Heather. Okay. So I think taking a look at this map, this is our downtown. This is what, I mean, I think mostly all would consider to be the heart of Marshalltown. I think that a McDonald's there is not right for downtown. It doesn't make sense to put a global national chain to compete at a scale that no other business in this zone can operate at. This is more than just, bringing a second McDonald's in. A second McDonald's is not a flex to our town. And when we think about their plan, yes, we're talking about driving in through the 3rd Ave, driving in through State Street, driving in through 2nd Ave, through the alley. Who else downtown has that access to the traffic? OPA has one in, one out. Dairy Queen has one in, one out. There is nothing else up in this zone that has that much access to the public and to getting the convenience, the driving through. Everywhere else, you have to come in and park, go in the door, sit down. That is what our downtown is. Bringing in a national chain would tremendously affect our downtown. And if we're talking about, yes, McDonald's would pay utilities, wages, taxes. Everybody else does as well. And when we talk about the impact, the economic impact that a McDonald's would have downtown, yes, today it looks good, but in the next 10, 20, 30 years, it's economic leakage in our town. We already have a McDonald's. Right now, it doesn't take long to drive. Because of the construction, it feels like it takes a little longer to drive from the north side to the south side. But once we're done developing and getting things back to normal, we did just get through 2 major storms. So it's not like it was anybody's fault that we have vacant lots on the north side. The north side got hit by the 2018 tornado. The south side didn't as much. Everywhere else for the director, we know that most of the area did get hit in our town. Urban core zoning also protects the integrity of this land. It shows that to developers that a 2-story or more matters in our district, in this downtown zone. We could have I know there will be another buyer. People say, okay, well, there hasn't been a buyer in 8 years. That's because we're still getting through 2 major storms. Things are still being built. It's a long-term thing. Developing real estate, I will always be for developing real estate. Developing the real estate is the #1 priority. But what is the right? Not all economic development is good development, and this one isn't. And the biggest thing when I heard that McDonald's was going to come, or was going to try to get a spot downtown, is the youth. Our Marshalltown Community School District youth, the majority live on the north side. And McDonald's targets kids with their Happy Meals, with their toys, with subpar fast food. This doesn't make sense for the kids. It would be, and my son goes to Woodbury Elementary School. This would not be good for the children at all. I think voting no is saying Marshalltown knows its worth, knows that we are on the right trajectory to, we were just listening to all how much interest the city has earned and has to pay back now. And that just shows how we are a good investment. It is flattering and validating that McDonald's wants to come to our Marshalltown downtown. That actually shows, and they've done their analytics. They know that we're a good investment. They know they will get their money out from this community in the next 5, 10, 20 years. This plan benefits McDonald's, corporations, major corporations. It doesn't benefit the Main Street, the downtown, the local businesses, the local entrepreneurs, and our youth. Thank you, Your Honor.
Other council comments?
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
Clayton, if this does pass tonight, the rest of the process, does it come back to the council? Does the site plan come to us, or does that stop in somewhere else? Is that your approval?
According to, per the zoning code, site plan approval and building permits are administrative approvals only.
So if we approve this rezoning, everything, all our concerns die here tonight, and we will get whatever gets approved by the Iowa DOT, what gets approved by your staff. Is that correct?
We will review against the adopted codes of the city, and provided it is compliant with those codes, it will get approved. So this would be the last time you have a direct vote on this.
Okay.
Well, it'd technically be the third reading.
So this is yes, we'd have two more readings.
Yeah, because first,
But
second.
we still wouldn't see the final plan, though, in those 2 readings.
No, they are not required to provide a formal site plan. They have provided this as a concept for discussion purposes only. The formal site plan would be strictly administrative approvals. Now, it is public record, so any person is welcome and invited to come review those, and they can provide comments. But assuming the plans are compliant with the adopted codes, I would be required to approve it.
Okay, that being said, I will have some pros and some cons that I'll throw out for you, and the gentleman from Bishop Engineering is here tonight, correct? Yeah, not a McDonald's representative, but Bishop Engineering, correct? Okay, he's nodding yes, okay. So for a pro side of this, I would be willing to entertain the thought of vacating that half block of alley and then possibly that would help the DOT make a decision to move the driveway down further north on Highway 14, or if conversations could be had with the Ecklers that own the laundromat and maybe widen that and make it a shared driveway, would even move it further down to the north to get it away from the intersection. Because the funeral home didn't generate the traffic that a McDonald's is going to generate, and with the stoplight right there, Third Avenue and State Street, I agree with everybody else. The new auto zone is going to be replacing a lot of tail lights if we move forward with this driveway too close to the intersection. So I would throw that out there for you and your staff and Bishop Engineering to have conversations with the Ecklers. Come back to us if you want us to vacate the alley, that half block of the alley. I do agree with the other four counselors on some other issues. I do not like the driveway entrance. I thought we had rules about how far a driveway can be from an intersection. I don't like the Second Avenue driveway. And if it was up to me, I would just have two driveways off State Street. But the other thing now on the con side is, am I reading 156D007, your urban core and mixed use planning and zoning regulations? If I'm reading this right, mixed use shares the same thing with urban core. That building has to be within 5 feet of the sidewalk. And I'll let you get there and tell me what I'm reading wrong.
Can you cite that once more?
Yeah, 156D as in Delta 007.
And, a lot of text here. Assuming you're...
It's under the A,
there,
okay.
There's that, I highlighted, there's that. Build to line. Structures shall be built to within 5 feet of the property line to provide an urban edge and maintain continuity and improve street frontages. Does?
If you look up, that's a subsection under A and then B,
Yeah.
building form, and the title of that is urban core and mixed use. So
that would be in
the McDonald's is not going to have a drive up, and if you follow what I'm interpreting this to be, McDonald's can't circle around they can't have a driveway around the building.
So I'm going to take you to another section because I'm glad you pointed that out, because that is in conflict with 156B005, mixed use, setbacks, minimum, maximum. Gives us the numbers, so 5 foot minimum. And then it gives us it's in here somewhere. There's a 4. But if you come down here, where number, dash number is shown, the first number including 0 is the minimum setback and the second number is the maximum. If only one number is shown, the maximum setback does not apply. So those provisions are conflicting with one another.
Now you're asking us to put this on hold and fix the planning and zoning chapter before we even move forward with this.
That's certainly a path that could be pursued.
Because if I understand this right, you can't administratively act on something that has a conflict with itself. Is that correct?
I would want some additional time to consider that question rather than making a decision on the fly.
So are we at a point to where, I'm not saying this, Your Honor, I'm asking you, are we at a point now, did I bring up something that in your opinion, do we need to table this tonight?
Well, we do have 3 readings before us, so we do have time to sort through that. So you could move forward with this, and we can always table at a later meeting, approve, deny. You still retain that ability, so you could still move the process forward. An option is to table it, but now that you pointed out that conflict in code, which thank you for pointing that out, that is something that should be reviewed prior to any final decision on approval of a site plan.
And then getting back to this other question is, what street is the front of the building? Is it going to be 3rd Avenue or is it going to be State Street?
The front yard is the lot dimension of least width. So in that case, it would be 3rd Avenue.
Okay. Does mixed use have the same, I didn't get into the parking part of it. Does mixed use have the same parking restrictions that urban core does? That there cannot be any parking in the front of a building? It's frontage to the street.
There's some language that, to the extent practical, it should be to the side and rear. It's not an outright prohibition, but it should be an option of last resort.
Okay, side note here, someone answers. Did True Value get built before we changed the zoning rules? Anybody remember?
Yes, it would have been before. Okay.
All right.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Gary, I think probably a more appropriate measure of this zoning change would be with the pharmacy approved on the west side of the Central Business District and the variances provided there.
Okay, but we didn't, that one doesn't have parking in the front, right? Counselor Kell has side and rear parking, correct?
It was a change in land usage to the challenges surrounding that were very different than this. So I don't want to say they're apples to apples, but it was something that the council and the city reviewed and made a decision on that was meeting the intent of what that business needed with the economic realities of where construction costs were.
Okay. I guess I won't make a motion until everybody has a chance to talk and the public does, but I'm leaning towards tabling this to let you look into the alley, look into getting with the neighboring property, looking into the code contradictions, but I'll just shut up, Your Honor, for now.
Your Honor, if I may, I believe a motion and second was already put on this.
Yes, we have a motion and a second on the table.
We do, yeah.
So you have to do an amendment.
Let's give other counselors a chance to speak if they want to, though, before turning it over to the public. Okay, turn it over to the public. Any public comment on this one?
Council, Mayor, Joel Jackson, Bishop Engineering, 3501 104th Street in Urbandale. Appreciate the discussion tonight, and I can try to answer a few of the questions that you guys had. In regards to the driveway locations, we were looking at, hey, what makes most sense? What's the safest to get in there? And we were looking at some of the adjacent businesses when we were originally doing the conceptual layout. So across the street to the north is Casey's, and then just across the street to the north is the laundromat. And those driveways are basically as far south as possible as it relates to the side street. Is it Brumley Lane or Brumley? So you're like 140, 150 feet south of that intersection. And so where the McDonald's access is proposed, it's approximately the same distance to the north of State Street. So trying to get that as far away from those intersections as possible. We do have a full traffic study on this project. The DOT requires that. Foth Engineering did that traffic study. That is complete. We'll be submitting that to the city with our site plan application when the time comes for the city to review that. I did have a call with the traffic engineer on Friday, as well as McDonald's, kind of talking through what the traffic engineer's findings were. And he said, we talked about the alley. He said as it relates to that, the alley traffic is extremely low volume. And because it's so low volume that it's not a concern of his as far as how close those entrances are. As far as meeting DOT requirements, he said everything that from what he can tell in his analysis of his 100-page report, shows that it is in compliance with everything on the DOT. We've currently submitted to the DOT for their review and approval of that. It's still in process right now, so it's been into them for a couple of weeks, but it takes them a while to be able to analyze that. As far as the other entrance goes on the west, there is enough space for one vehicle to go to exit onto Second and turn south onto State and line up there. It's just far enough north that you're able to get that movement. But that west parking lot is right now designed as a staff parking lot. So the 10 to 12 employees that are on every shift would be parking out in that general west area. And so it's not really intended to be a very high traffic movement parking lot, but having that entrance in there does make it so that vehicles that are on the west that are entering don't have to go down another stop sign around. It's a more direct access into the back of the store. As far as the parking stalls are out in front on the east side along the highway, those are all stalls as it relates to the driveway, Uber Eats, McDelivery. So they're all signed as permanent, not permanent stalls as far as like somebody coming in or somebody that's an employee. They're all like, if your fries aren't ready, you get parked in one of those stalls and you come back. Or if your Uber is picking up your food, they park there quickly, run in, grab your food, and come back out. So, and you can see some black circles kind of denoting that on that plan, but just kind of giving you a little context of the idea of like what those stalls are out in front.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
Joel, your intent is to take out the hill, right? You're leveling the lot, is that correct?
As little as possible, but yeah, there's a little bit of hill on the northeast side as it comes up, but it does continue to go up that hill on that northeast side to kind of get to where the store is located.
Okay, so you're not taking the lot level to State Street all the way across the whole lot?
No, because there is an elevation difference between the streets, and so you got to be able to account for that when you're doing your plan.
I'm curious about, I don't remember well enough whether the DOT plan was going to be switching from 4-lane to 3-lane, or 2-lane with a middle lane, left turn, right turn. Is that how you've been attacking this, or are you still looking at it from a 4-lane?
Sure, that's a good question. From what I've been told by the traffic engineer that did the study, he said there's a couple traffic studies from the past that had recommended that either the city or the DOT hired of doing a road diet going from 4-lane to 3-lane conversion, and he said that's actually his recommendation as well, but it's not part of this particular study as it relates to the access to this site. That's obviously a much larger, broader decision from the city's standpoint.
Thank you. Other council comments or questions of Joel? Okay. Thank you. Mic's still open to the public.
Jolene Ballard, 610 North 2nd Avenue. First of all, that alley between the laundromat and the proposed McDonald's is street level, and then as you go west, it has quite a bit of climb there, so taking a little bit of dirt away, I don't see how that's going to work. Plus, I'm kind of laughing at this whole thing because when the Ecklers first wanted to put their laundromat there, they got so much static because that wasn't the plans for that area. And now we're going to put a McDonald's there. I agree with you. Thank you.
My name is Brianna Alvarado. I live at 1609 Fremont Street here in town. I just want to say I thank you, Melissa. I work at SubCity and have for close to 10 years. I've seen a lot of faces, but I've also not seen a lot of faces, and McDonald's isn't what our kids need down here. Kids are everywhere, and if there's one thing I think about McDonald's, it's all of the trash around. But also, I would just really appreciate any kind of oomph behind the restaurants that are already here. I don't see hardly any officials coming in to talk to us about it. I've seen Danielle quite a few times, but like, I didn't get that survey, and I do all of the things for Subcity online. I didn't get to fill out that survey for MCBD. Things like that, that are little things that are getting forgotten about, people that are already here. And I don't think downtown needs McDonald's. I think it needs anything else for everyone that can't make it to the other side of town. I'm loving all the parks, the band shell, all of those positive things. But to bring something in so close to my boss, who has given so much to the high school, I mean, he puts esports on his back. He gives more than he should, and I yell at him about it. But I think we need to support more positive things than McDonald's close to down here.
Dave Grieve, 126, 128, 128 and a half East Main. I am a developer in Ward 1, and I agree with Ms. Fonseca. I don't particularly care for a McDonald's downtown, and I almost kind of feel like as a developer I compete more with government grants than what I'm trying to invest in my own in this downtown. And not many people come and ask me what I think, and I was probably the only citizen that ever showed up to those downtown meetings on Wednesdays that are no longer available. And I agree, McDonald's is junk food, and that's not what you want to put down. If you're putting all this money in downtown to try and pick it up, that's not what you want to put in there. Go down by Dairy Queen. Put it on the north side down by Dairy Queen. It would help Dairy Queen out, and it would help McDonald's out. The more restaurants are grouped together, the better they do. And I do support Subcity and Made Right. And by the way, their shake this month is salted caramel. I highly agree with that one. So that's my opinion.
Oh, that was my clue. I brought sea salt caramel tonight in case this meeting was running along, and I wasn't getting hungry until we started talking about McDonald's. So the deal is, each person up here, sorry guys, eat your hearts out because you don't get any. But up here, you have to take about as much as would be worth $3 or less, because that's still the rule here in gifts to anybody. Yeah. Oh no, you can't go half.
Yeah. Marco Yepes Gomez, Ward 1 candidate, 36 West Main Street, Unit 209. I do want to start by thanking Councilmember Fonseca for taking the, I think, unpopular but correct position on this. So I oppose this rezoning that would clear the path for a new McDonald's. We should be putting our downtown's best interest first and never sell it short for temporary gain. I am not here tonight to hammer the point that McDonald's in a downtown is a horrible idea, because there's already credible material out there saying this. Instead, I want to address the most common counter argument that I've heard, and that is something is better than nothing. To me, that is obvious and isn't what I'm fighting against, or anyone really. I'm fighting the self-imposed rules that keep small, ambitious entrepreneurs from developing downtown parcels. I think it is important people understand that if someone controlled everything in the world except Marshalltown's zoning laws, they still could not rebuild many of our historical, affordable buildings that once stood on our empty downtown lots. This lot included. I don't believe in a city of 28,000 people that not one local entrepreneur has noticed the millions we've invested downtown and the opportunities it creates. I also refuse to believe McDonald's is the only business that was smart enough to see the potential here. If you doubt me, go look at the empty lots on the county's Beacon website, and then look at our zoning code. You'll quickly see these parcels are difficult for a small investor to develop. The people who are saying something is better than nothing are absolutely right, but no one seems to be asking, why is the only option the market has given us in 7 years is a giant piece of cement with a McDonald's in the middle of it, despite the millions of dollars we spent in downtown? People need to understand we spent around $6 million on State Street in the name of reconstructing downtown. And we are about to give 1/6 of that to McDonald's. And it's painful that many are okay with it without asking deeper questions as to how we got here. Thank you.
Lonnie Hoagland, 1408 East Main Street. I don't need to read my thing off the phone. I can appreciate Miss Fonseca's, she said it from their heart. A lot of people praising what she said. This council needs to make it easier to do things in this town. It's complicated. I've been in business for 50 years myself. Our business has been in business for 77 years. Levi's in the crowd tonight. It's complicated to do stuff in Marshalltown, Iowa. There's nothing wrong with McDonald's there. Put it there. It's terrible that you're just figuring out right now, is the setback going to be right? Oh my goodness, there was a funeral home there that was right up to the sidewalk. Make sure it's done right, but can we believe we're talking about the setback at a council meeting? Mr. Thompson come up with the idea. Is it right? Oh my goodness. You got to make sure the traffic's right. Do it right. Give the people something to eat besides out of a rolling bus. Marshalltown needs some stuff. There's nothing in McDonald's that's worth eating, but people eat there. There's no other business coming to town with a suitcase of money. It's an empty lot for 8 years. I wish the Ecklers were here tonight to let you know how flippin' complicated it was to build a laundromat. They had a laundromat destroyed and the city did everything, and the state or whoever. It was terrible for them to build a laundromat. Make it easier.
Tim Bradbury, 12 North 10th Avenue. When I first moved to Marshtown back in the 60s, there used to be a Sandy's, there used to be A&W, there used to be over 5 or more eating places just on 3rd Avenue, the taco place. A lot of good places. I understand the traffic problems, that bothers me there. It'd be neat if they would go in the McFarland lot or somewhere different than that corner. But we need to do, like Lonnie says, encourage all the business we can. I understand we don't always get help through contributions and whatever from McDonald's. That does bother me. But like Lonnie says too, we need all the business on 3rd Avenue to fill that place back up and get some money coming into town. I don't want to see a detriment though, and I can see both sides, and I'd like to hear more both sides open up about it to open up the discussion. But let's not make it harder for people coming in.
Lonnie Hoagland, 1408 East Main Street. I was going northbound at 3rd Avenue and State Saturday many times. The music coming out of that band shell was so loud it should have been turned into a nuisance violation. They're just trying to have a party. What if someone was sleeping in a house across the street? What one person don't like, maybe the other one does, but look at the others. Is McDonald's going to hurt anything? Was the music coming out of that band shell terribly loud? Didn't hurt me, but it was terribly loud. Figure out if McDonald's is going to hurt anything. It isn't going to hurt anything. If you don't want to go there, don't go there.
Mic's still open for those who haven't had a chance to speak yet.
Sandy Short, 804 West Merle Hibbs. I think it will hit made right. I think most of you know. I appreciate Melissa letting me know about this. It will impact my business, I'm sure, and Dairy Queen also, because if you have 3 or 4 little kids in the car who said, I want to go to McDonald's, they're not going to come to the Maid-Rite or the Dairy Queen. So please think about this. It will impact some of the local businesses. Thank you.
Mic is still open if anybody would like to speak further. Short of that, let's call the roll on the motion.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
No.
Fonseca?
No.
Kell?
Yes.
Laddiehoff?
Yes.
That is carried for the first reading. We'll have 2 more readings after that. All right, and our other ordinance tonight.
Ordinance 15112 to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Marshalltown, Iowa by adding attendance requirements to the Chapter 150 Planning, Plan and Zoning Commission, Chapter 31 Officers and Organizations, Chapter 156 Zoning Board of Adjustment, and Chapter 154 Electrical Board of Appeals.
Is there a motion to approve first?
I'll move for approval, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'll second.
There we go. Discussion now.
Yes, Your Honor. Staff have made the recommendation to add some attendance requirements for all of our boards and commissions to avoid not having a quorum at these important meetings where decisions need to be made. So language has been added to each code section to give the city the backing if they were need to remove a member per the Iowa code.
Thank you. Any discussion by the council? Any discussion by the public? Be a quick one. Please call the roll.
Laddiehoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Carried. All right, on to discussion items, the first of which is the Oktoberfest relocation. Who'd like to take the lead on this one?
I can, Your Honor. So as this item was originally proposed as somewhat moot at this point, I think we are working with the Oktoberfest committee. The news that we received today about the state's State Health and Human Services recommending that we not have the event in, north of the tracks, put myself, Public Works Director Heather Thomas, and Alicia Hunter, our city clerk, in motion trying to find an alternative location to hold this event. We want to try to keep the event in the community, and so to that end, we reached out to Dwayne Dixon, who I think maybe is here somewhere. Okay. And to try to find an alternative location. So right now, we have a couple of ideas for the parade, and we are considering looking at either the fairgrounds or the 6th Street complex to relocate the event. We're going to talk in more detail with the committee, who some other committee members are here this evening. We're going to meet right after this meeting to talk about where we can relocate the event and the parade as well. Our intent is to try to keep these festivities going. It's something that the community looks forward to every year, and I think is a highlight event in the community. And so, we anticipate hopefully having a secured location either tonight or tomorrow morning, and we'll do immediate outreach to communicate to the public of the relocation of the event.
Thank you. With that,
Your Honor, if I
yes.
may I ask a question?
Sure.
Carol, can you elaborate on the conflicting information that the public has been receiving, that this was something that happened late in August, and that the people that have been affected, if they truly believe it's a cooling tower, it's been remedied? So I guess I just want clarification. It's like, do we still have an epidemic brewing? The numbers have plateaued. I mean, and they're refusing to tell us what the source is and where it's at. Can you give us a little update on that?
I don't have any additional information beyond what the health department has shared publicly. I really don't. If I had more, I would share it. But we're receiving the exact same information that the public is receiving.
Yeah. I haven't asked the rest of the council to.
Your Honor, if I may.
You may.
The mayor, Alicia, and myself, as Mayor Pro Tem, met with Sidney Gruel and Carol Hibbs, and basically went over what they've done. And what they've done is they have shocked the water in the towers, all 12 of them. They have had them clean, had the owners clean them. completely. And then they brought in a third party to come in and clean them again. Okay? They have high confidence that it's dead. But nothing in life is ever zero. We all know that. And no matter what I say up here, people aren't going to believe it. And conspiracies run rampant. But the cause of which tower may never be found, because basically they nuked them all. In Harlem, New York, one tower started it and it transferred to other towers. So you may never get which tower it was, okay? But I think you can be pretty confident that it's dead. The odds are very, very, very good in that. The mayor and I both asked specific locations. Have they been done? Has this been done? They refused to release that information. And they decided the HHS is not releasing that information. By Iowa code, they do not have to release that information. Okay? So the city, as a city body, this really sucks. We can't communicate anything because we don't know anything. I've been called a liar, you know, and, oh, you're just trying to do this or that and everything else. You should have good confidence that it's dead. Now, we're going to still see some cases for the next, could be 12 days. And that's because it can incubate in your body for up to 2 weeks. Okay? So before they got them all killed, you may have picked it up. They killed it. But it takes 2 weeks for it to surface. So the best thing that we can tell people to do is if you are showing any symptoms whatsoever, go get checked for your own health. You know, I think I have confidence that in the next week our numbers are going to drop to 0. And that'll tell you that it's dead. But there's some people that don't know they have it yet that picked it up just before the towers were hit the second time. And the towers were hit a second time by a third party, not from the owners. Professionally done. A lot of the places like JBS, they don't do their own towers. They have somebody come in anyway. And I believe they clean them 3 times a week. Is that right? They don't have to. They only have to do it twice. But they still do it 3 times, and they bring somebody, a professional in from out of town to do it. Because, well, they're a food processor. They're held to a higher standard. So I think if the community can just kind of chill a little bit, let's watch the numbers, let's pray for the numbers to drop out to 0. We're catching like 1 a day now. We're not getting the 4s and the 5s and the 8s. And then we can put this behind us just like we put everything else behind us that we've gone through. And damn, we've gone through a lot. You know, we can do this. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. I did check today at 3 o'clock is when they give the new numbers. The number today is 71. Actually, I checked the other day a little before 3 o'clock and it was up before 3. But there is an Health and Human Services state website. It's not easy to find. Once you find it, bookmark it, and then you can do what I do and check it when it comes in daily. But it has slowed down to one at the most the last few days. We did have the state epidemiologist come to the county Board of Supervisors meeting to help Sidney Gruelle explain things. He was asked those questions. He did answer them as best he could. I've been posting things on my personal page and trying to answer questions as well as I can from people that have theories and ideas and places that ought to be tested and that sort of thing. And then somebody said, I said it's safe to be out here. Well, no, it isn't. Not the way I drive. But there's nothing any of us can do, frankly. I don't think masks work. You know, if I were really old and my asthma had kicked in and I was really concerned about getting it because I'm compromised, I probably wouldn't go outside. And I probably wouldn't go mingle with the public, but you don't get it from the public. You don't get it from people. It's not transmitted that way. It's a strange bacteria, and it does float around in different places. And I was glad finally to get some definition today because people have sure been asking me, what do you mean by the north side of town? And the answer, not in the letter, but the answer verbally was north of the tracks. So do what you need to do to protect yourselves. Our medical clinic and the hospital emergency room did a wonderful job of coming up with a diagnosis early because it's not an easy one to diagnose. It can be masked easily. It's just like getting a cold or RSVP or pneumonia or the flu. But our emergency room, Dr. Van Gundy, got the word out to all the medical clinics to test for this. If people are coming in with those symptoms, they've been doing that. That's probably put the number way up, honestly, because if he hadn't done that and hadn't done it early, we'd have a lot of people who have been sick for a week or two and just thought they had the flu or a cold or something like that. So our numbers are high. Fortunately, we have only had one death. I've heard the percentage is usually higher than that for how many people die for those that have been diagnosed. And I heard it was 10%, so we've been lucky to be at 71 and only have one death.
Your Honor.
I hadn't heard about the second death. I just got a text from mine. Okay, very good. Go ahead, Mr. Gale.
That's what I was going to mention shortly before our meeting started tonight. They did confirm a second death. So
Even that's difficult to figure out. Was it caused by Legionnaire's disease, or was it caused by the things that were compromised in the first place, including age? So it's a difficult one, and I understand people wanting better answers. I do too. I have called I've talked to 3 different people in the State Department. I've met twice now with our local department head. We had a meeting of all mayors and the sheriff's office and our emergency management director last week, and so I brought it up there too. So from a city standpoint, we don't have a health department. We're doing the best we can, which is to relay information. I have been very pleased with what our local press has done in terms of getting to the bottom of it and trying to publish it in the newspaper and over the radios, and down in Des Moines and over in Cedar Rapids, those channels are covering the story as well too. So that is what we know. But if everybody has spoken that wants to appear. Oh, one more. Go ahead.
Can we pull up that Oktoberfest map, please?
Thank you, Heather.
They don't trust me with the computer. I break them.
Oh, I think we closed the agenda again. Just a sec.
So this is the plan right now, right? Where everything is going to be, right? Okay, so then relocating it, do we have a proposed spot where it would be relocated to?
We have 2 potential spots. One is the fairgrounds, which I believe the fairground board would need to approve the use of the fairgrounds for this purpose. So that might be a little challenging, but that's an option we're going to explore. And then the other location is the 6th Street complex. So those are the 2 that we're looking at now. The area that we're looking for the parade would be between the mall and the high school on 3rd Avenue.
Okay, and I mean, the event is Thursday, right? The event is Thursday. Okay. Right. So, I think Councilor Schneider, I think you were the one that proposed this. Could you have some information for us regarding?
Well, I mean, like Carol said, the original opposition to this is a moot point now since we have to move it. The idea was, I know this is a once-in-a-generation project we have going on downtown that disrupted this year's plans. I just didn't think it was an ideal spot, especially, with the ongoing health issue. So I had asked staff to consider what some other locations could be, and Carol's elaborated on what those are.
I would mention too, the mall owners, the shops at Marshalltown owners did offer the use of their parking lot to us. It was very generous of them, and even provided us with a map of some potential areas that we could have the event. I don't believe it's actually going to work for the event, but I did want to recognize that they went above and beyond to try to assist us with it.
Your Honor, before the meeting started, I did hear back from the Marshall County Board and for the fairgrounds, and they did agree to donate the use of the county fairgrounds for this event.
Okay, so our concern is the Legionaries' disease, right? So like the event, I think if the concern was the disease, then the event should be canceled then. Because if you're located downtown versus the other places, you would still be exposed. What makes exposure more in downtown versus in the other locations?
Less risk, or less perceived risk, honestly, because I don't think.
Less perceived risk how, Your Honor?
So they
The people
identify-
coming to town will perceive there's less of a risk if they're south of the tracks or out at the fairgrounds than if they're north of the tracks in downtown.
That's
Okay,
the
so the
area.
traffic coming in is the concern for the traffic, not the locals.
No, that's the area that the HHS delineated for us. We didn't determine that. So I think if we move it, south of the tracks, I think that limits the at least perceived exposure. What the health department communicated to us is that HHS was mostly concerned with new exposures, which would be visitors coming into town who have not been people who working in this area or visiting the northern part of the community have been exposed, and probably if they're going to get sick, they probably have already gotten sick. And so that's the rationale that the department used.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Before the call today at 4 o'clock, I was going to propose State Street, which really looks nice now. We did have a great concert out here to raise the $3 million for the Coliseum, but we're having to adjust as we go.
So, Your
Sure.
Honor, will we have to have a special meeting? At the earliest we could have it would be Wednesday to move the liquor license, correct?
I'm requesting that you make a motion to approve Thirsty Pigs LLC and Lucky Wife Wine Slushies relocation be approved.
But are we able to do that tonight with the open meetings laws and posting that as being on the agenda? Or do we have to have a special meeting for that?
It was in the memo that action may be taken by council on the relocation of the alcohol licenses.
And that's enough to make it doable tonight,
Yes.
even though we don't. So are we saying then we're going to the fairgrounds? Is that what you were saying then?
I think the committee will confirm that tonight, but I think that's probably the most likely location.
So if we make a motion to move the liquor license, it's contingent on, we just make a blanket motion that it's contingent on the new location? And
Yes.
that survives legal scrutiny?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure. Other questions or comments up here?
I did want to Councilmember Fonseca's comment. The practicalities of canceling the event are probably, at this point, vendors have prepared for this event. They've prepared food and items for the event. I think at this point to cancel would be very detrimental to the community. So we're working diligently to find and plan for this relocation of the event.
As far as I know, too, only one of the participants in the parade has dropped out, and it's a small group that are mostly older than I am.
Your Honor, point of order, is that possible?
It's possible, yeah. It's really kind of fun to go to that group, yeah.
Your Honor, I would make the motion to allow the change of the liquor licenses.
Second.
Okay, now further discussion on that one. Any further discussion up here? Because we have to open it to the public too. Let's go with the public. Jim?
Jim Shaw, 522 North 2nd Street. On the Legionnaires thing, there are two deaths because my fiance just texted me that. And then Legionnaires is not easy to get rid of. Fisher's had it 50 years ago. Okay, and they're outside coolers. They brought people in to clean it. When they tested it, it was worse. So, but that was 50 years ago, so I assume things have reached a lot more modern stuff to go. But I just thought I'd give you that. And then when you start talking about the fairgrounds, where are you going to have the car show?
We'll work on that this evening. We've got pretty much the whole committee, I think, here in the room or online, so we'll work out those details.
Because my Corvette don't go in mud and gravel.
I'll be thinking about you, Jim.
Yeah.
Give me a try.
If that's where it's at, I'm not coming.
Other public comment?
Doris Kinnick, 2020 Catalina Place. Legionnaire's disease, I've done some research on it, and the things that I've read on Facebook are just like, anyway, they seem to forget that there are certain things that are underlying conditions that go with Legionnaire's disease. One of them is being over 50. I'm okay. It's all right. Second is smoking. That's a big one. And also, if you have issues with your lungs. Those are the three things. Instead of people going, okay, I don't have any problem with this, we're good, they're jumping to conclusions and like, oh, we're not going to Marshalltown, we're going to Ames to shop. I'm like, jeez. So, again, cooler heads. Absolutely. We're going to get through this. It's going to be okay. And I'm looking forward to Oktoberfest this year. Thank you.
Scott McLean, 206 North 18th Street. So I'm kind of struggling here a little bit. Health and Human Services tells us they recommend we move it because there's a threat. But yet, in the very press release they put out today, everything's been treated. 10 to 14 days to show signs and symptoms. If we treated everything approximately 10 days ago, we should be out of this. You know, if everything's been shocked and treated correctly and done the right ways, as soon as we identified it, which, you know, they started that remediation back in early September, I think we need to leave Oktoberfest alone. It's not transmittable human to human. If we've treated all of the potential sources that we're very well aware of, what's the threat? We've eliminated the threat. But I also come as a business owner uptown, we've decimated our small businesses uptown. We've taken every event that they've had this year, moved it away from Main Street, moved it away from downtown, and it's hurting our businesses. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Dwayne Dixon on behalf of Oktoberfest itself. I found out about this all at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. So short answer is I don't know what we're doing. Based on everything that's been said, I'd prefer just to leave it exactly the way we have it planned and go against what the state health recommendation is, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to be my call. So like has already been said, we're going to meet after this meeting and kind of come to a conclusion and go from there. So I guess the shortest answer is we're not canceling. So There's too many vendors that have bought food, too many vendors that have things planned for sales, and like everything else has been said, there's a lot of money on the line that is being planned on. So, and there's insurance that's been spent. There's expenses. There's been equipment rented. Just all the planning as far as getting things set up. I've probably got a couple hundred hours worth in just by myself this summer. So I'm not the only one. So hopefully that helps.
I'd like to add, Dwayne, that it's the work that your committee and you have done that is why I personally thought we needed to have the show go on anyway. Now, where is another question, and I kind of hate to, as a city, buck what we're told to do by the state and county folks, but there's no question that a lot of work goes into this, and we also know that you've had public meetings, and your committee allowed people, if they had concerns about where parking was going to be and what effect it would have on the downtown businesses, they had that opportunity. So it's funny that this has all come into just this fulcrum, perfect storm, and it is kind of like a perfect storm, honestly. Well, it's like the day that Ragbri came through and we had a band concert set up, and they had to cancel that at the last minute, and we were lucky we didn't lose any people the way the wind was that night. We've had a lot of bad wind things around here.
So, Your Honor, we have a motion on the table just to transfer the liquor license if needed, correct?
That's how I understand it.
And then we would need another motion for the movement of, after that, we'd still be talking about the relocation, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so let's go ahead and call the question. I didn't see anybody else getting up to talk. Let's call the question on just moving the conditional moving of the liquor licenses if the vote then comes to still have it, but have it at a different site.
Fonseca?
No.
Hill?
Yes.
Laddiehoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, that one carried. I was sensing somebody might want to move one way or the other on moving the site.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion that we leave Oktoberfest where it's presently planned.
See if there's a second.
Second it.
Now, Your Honor, may I speak?
If you need to.
I need to,
You got to
because
pass the caramel corn back down here then. Sorry.
I guess I'm confused, about, this is a public use permit that that was requested, went to all the department heads. They signed off on it. Again, while we were in the midst of this Legionnaires' outbreak, nothing seems to have changed today that more than 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and then we're hearing from Councilor Laddiehoff that everything's been shocked and everything's fine, but yet we're getting mixed signals because HHS wants us to, thinks we should move it. But I guess I'm asking for a point of clarification. Does this body have the ability to override the city administrators and the city clerk's issuing of a public use permit? I mean, we setting a precedent that we're going to start bringing public use permits to the council?
May I, Your Honor?
You may. I'm glad you
So
would.
I think, and I'd ask the clerk if she has any comments on this too, but I think the action that council took regarding this event was use of the public streets for the event in downtown. You did take an action on that. And so I believe that the decision would be to revoke that permission to do that. That would be the decision of council, which would not allow the event to be held downtown. I don't know, Alicia, if you have any comments on that? Yeah, that's the one thing I thought would be in council's purview to do that.
So my motion that was seconded is not to revoke that then.
So you could keep it, yeah, I
Okay.
think you can do that.
Dwayne Dixon again. That would have been per the August 11th meeting. The August 25th meeting would have been for the liquor licenses. And one other point of note is the homecoming parade was just held, last week? downtown. So what changes, is anything different, or what has changed differently since then? So maybe that helps sway one way or another.
Your Honor, could you read again what the HHS said?
Oh, I just was
I
looking
mean,
at it
just the
myself.
part about whether it's,
Yeah, the critical language is in the first one sentence paragraph. Per Iowa Health and Human Services and Marshall County Public Health, it is recommended that this year's Oktoberfest activities be relocated out of northern Marshalltown, out of an abundance of caution. Well,
Your Honor?
Yep.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Dwayne, how much will that notice affect attendance at Oktoberfest if it's downtown?
Sorry, what was the question again?
The fact that Health and Human Services have made that recommendation, how much would that hurt attendance at Oktoberfest if it's downtown?
I have no idea.
And I should add this too. The letter is to whom it may concern. I was told that it was coming, but it wasn't addressed to the city council specifically.
Yeah, it wasn't to the city council and it wasn't to the actual festival itself. Because we were notified by Carol.
Same here.
I think, for the most part, I think if you were already planning on going, you're already going. You've already made up your mind. It's no different than COVID a few years ago. If you were going to go out, you were going to go out. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. I don't care. I'm not going to recommend it either way, but I'm not going to judge you for it if you do.
Yep. Other council comments? I think the public's probably had enough. Anybody really want to get up and talk about this any further before I call the roll?
Can I ask a question?
Your Honor.
Only from, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Kell.
I would just like to ask Dwayne, what would attendance be?
Yeah, but before you talk to somebody that nobody can hear on radio or TV, let me have Mr. Kell speak.
Thank you, Your Honor. We probably don't have an answer for this tonight, but would be worth exploring any potential liability, future liability, if we decide to go against the recommendation of Health and Human Services in the event another tragic loss happens. I know no one on the council wants to see that, and actually do everything we can to have as safe a community as possible, but that would be a question I think we need to understand also, is there any potential liability for us?
We don't.
Thank you.
Thanks. We don't have a city attorney here, but I'll feel funny if I don't admit that I got a call today from a media station in Des Moines asking if I was aware that we were being sued. Well, the defendants weren't known. Was the city named as a defendant or not? And so that had me checking Iowa courts online and checking around a little bit to see that there's always a potential of a lawsuit. And we certainly have a lot of insurance for anything that was malfeasance or negligence done, if it can jump over the big hurdle of city immunity, municipal immunity that we have. So I personally, as a lawyer and as the mayor, am not too worried about liability for the city.
Thank you.
Did the gentleman in the back get his?
Yeah, one other
answered?
question would be as far as whether or not, if we move, what that, or how that would affect our attendance. It probably will affect it if we move it, because all our advertising so far is for downtown. And to try to change all that on the website and Facebook is a lot of work. We've had advertising on the radio, we've had some on, I think on TV, but mostly the radio and internet, and that's all saying for downtown. So anyone coming out of town, they're planning on going downtown.
Very good. I think it's time to call the roll on this one. So the motion is to leave it as is. And that was a second. Let's call the roll on that.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
No.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Kell?
No.
Lottie Hoff?
No.
Mitchell?
Yes.
And the vote is 4-3 to leave it as is. We're not taking the county or state's recommendation. Okay. That handles the Oktoberfest relocation. Now let's talk about downtown parking.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Heather Thomas, Public Works. I'm going to pull up a memo. So tonight, what brings me here is a request that the city staff received for dedicated, specific to a business on-street parking downtown. I'm not here to ask for approval on this particular request. I'm asking for direction on practice and policy that the council would like city staff to use when we receive requests like this. We currently do not have any practice or policy that allows a business a dedicated to that business on-street parking in downtown. And the request stemmed from a new business that we are welcoming to our downtown in the Willards building. They will be having a shop that will be having some to-go orders or pickup orders, and they have requested for 2 spots that have a time limit of 15 to 20 minutes that are dedicated for that business. In my memo, I have some additional information, but as we talk about the location, this is specific to the Willards building is where this request is stemming from, and the 2 stalls that they've requested are there on First Street that I've highlighted in the map. We brought this to you because we had a discussion back in December of 2023 about dedicated spots, but it was specific to parking lots. And so that doesn't necessarily cover this request. And so council, we are asking you if you guys would like us to develop a practice or policy to allow a business owner to have dedicated stalls and exactly what that might look like. In the memo, I've included the kind of the parameters that we outlined and agreed upon specific to if they were located in a parking lot for like a tenant or a resident in some of the downtown apartments. So with that, I will open it up for additional questions and happy to answer those.
So Heather, Your Honor, question?
Go ahead.
So these would be limited parking for that business only, correct? Or
That is what the request initially came in as, yes.
If I may, Heather, can you scroll, go back to the map?
So the 2 stalls are going to be the 2 stalls on the east side of the road, just north of the east-west alley in First Street, a half a block south of West Main Street.
What would be the difference between having 2 stalls there or 2 stalls in the parking lot right behind?
This particular business has a side door immediately outside those 2 stalls, and so they were intending to use that as a direct customer access or where one of their employees can run it out, within steps to vehicles that are there. The stalls that would be in the parking lot are a little further away than what they've requested.
Your Honor, if I may,
You may.
who would be responsible to maintain somebody that's parking there 15 minutes or half an hour? Would you throw that to the police department, which they are already overworked?
Yeah, so in my memo, I outlined one thing that was a business-specific stall, and then I also threw out the idea of if council didn't want to go a business-specific route, potentially adding some additional parking stalls with shorter time restrictions. We've got 4 30-minute stalls out front instead of City Hall, and so that may also be a middle ground to allow some shorter term for pickups and those kind of things. If it was business-specific, And we followed the same practice we discussed as far as parking lots go. At that time, the only person who could request city assistance from our police department or our parking enforcement would be the person who's leasing those stalls. If we're talking specific about a time limit and not business specific, both parking enforcement and the police department would have that ability to enforce that. Although with that said, I don't think we're going to have anybody checking stalls every 30 minutes throughout every day. So it would probably be complaint driven.
Your Honor. Heather, I actually like this idea. The pay structure is the same as we set up for the parking lots, correct?
That would be up for discussion.
That's what it was in your memo, okay. I'm actually okay with this. I don't think we're going to have a lot of businesses downtown that are going to jump on board. You know, what's that, $300? It's been late. What is 50 times 12? 600. $600, if that's what we go with a year. I don't think a lot of businesses are going to jump on board with that, but I actually like it. I mean, I think we want to increase, we've had that conversation earlier about McDonald's, you know, coming to downtown. You know, we want to do what we can to help the businesses in the core there. So I'm in support of at least trying this, moving forward with this. So I'd support this.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I think having the 15-minute spots is a good thing. I think not business specific though. So it being distributed evenly around our Marshalltown Central Business District. It's, because I mean, like, there are in each and every single restaurant you can get a to-go order. So, or you can call on the phone and order and pick it up. So I think that I'd be in favor of having staff review and check where it would make sense to have those 15, 30-minute spots for the main street. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yep. So Heather, I'd also support this. It's away from Main Street, so it's not really conflicting with the parking for the restaurants. It's kind of out of the way, and so I think if this helps a new business get going, I would support it.
I just want to reiterate that I'm requesting direction on how to review these in totality, and not specific to this business. It sounds like from the location standpoint, you're open to stalls like this off of Main Street. Are you open to stalls like this on Main Street?
No.
Your Honor, I motion for staff to review and let us know where the spots would be for the limited time spots, but not business specific.
I have done a preliminary review on that, and if we look at 30 minutes.
That's true. Yeah, is there a second to that motion? Fails for lack of second.
I'll second.
Nope, now we have a second.
I thought the motion was for us to come back, and so that's why I was responding.
Yeah, yep, we just didn't have a second to it.
Now you can make your statement.
All right. If we talk about shorter duration stalls, we would recommend probably towards the center section of each block, particularly adjacent to an alley, whether that's a vehicular or pedestrian alley. That gives a little more space for higher turnover. And the thought process is if you come downtown and you have a 3-hour time stall available next to a 30-minute time stall, you'd probably pick the 3-hour if you may be around. And so there's an idea that the 30-minute stalls would be more vacant than others, increasing visibility at those alleys. So we would probably first look at one per block and locate that near an alley.
Your Honor, if I may, this is a double-edged sword. The problem with if the city owns the spots or doesn't lease them out, now all of a sudden, now we've got Matt patrolling or the police patrolling and chalking tires in those spots. And if we lease them to somebody and they call the police or Matt and say, hey, I want this car out of my spot, then the onus is on them, not on us. I don't see how we're going to administer the city-owned spots if they're not leased out. I see that as a nightmare. So I'd be against the city-owned ones.
Other input up here? Otherwise, I'll call for public comment on this one, and then we'll call the roll. Who's there first? Oh, come on up, John.
Good evening, John Hall, 34 West Main Street, Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce. Appreciate you guys considering this. I'd point out that I think in front of First Interstate Bank, there's also 30-minute time restrictions as well on Main Street itself. So this is not a new concept that the community has had within downtown. What I would say is it is kind of a best practice for downtown development, specifically downtown parking development, to have the shortest time frames the closest to the door. Along Main Street would be then the shortest time frames, and longer time frames the further you move away. The idea being that you're basically pushing business owners and employees to park a little bit further away from their door to maximize the availability of space for visitors and that kind of regular traffic. The only consideration that I would offer for the reserved spots or the dedicated spots for business over kind of general would be potential abuse from business owners or their employees who wish to park as close to the front door as possible. That's already a concern and challenge in downtown, and anything we can do to minimize that maximizes the space for potential shoppers and visitors. So thank you.
Dave Grieve, 126, 128, 128 and a half East Main. I like the idea of short-term parking. I know 7 Rayhos Liquor next to me would probably appreciate 2-3 spots because they compete with Tannen, who is long-term parking. And then we also have Real Deals, and just a block away is Oliver Bean that are more long-term shoppers, and they have struggled time finding any parking down there long term. That block needs a bigger parking lot, period. But I like the ideas, especially I know Sub-City would probably like zoom in, zoom out ability, and so I like the idea of Main Street having a lot of short-term parking because there's a lot of short-term businesses in those areas as opposed to the long-term shopping. So John's idea was good.
Brianna Alvarado, 1609 Fremont Street. We do have parking in our back parking lot by Sub-City that is 90 minutes. It has been so wonderful. There's always a spot for our elderly to park. We always tell them if we need to take something out to them. It's been really wonderful uptown, and I've seen a lot of people really using it and using it right, even though no one is actually policing them. So I think it would help everyone. It does really well in our parking lot.
Anybody else? Let's call the roll.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Lottiehoff?
Yes.
Very good. Staff has this direction. I'm sure the CBD and Chamber of Commerce will be having input in this too. All right, on to the next item, which is the Marshtown Police Department vehicle purchase matter. Want some caramel corn?
Yeah.
Been selling it very well.
Dinner.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Kyle Stevenson, Captain, Marshalltown Police Department. Just over 11 years ago, I stood in this very spot and made a similar request. In 2014, the Marshalltown Police Department acquired a surplus military vehicle. That vehicle is known as an MRAP. It's an armored vehicle. We had the opportunity to get this through a surplus program and bring this to Marshalltown for its use. The problem is this is a military vehicle, and it's not really ideal for the things that we're doing. That said, it did serve its purpose for a little over a decade for us. As all of you know, and recently we've been dealing with things, but law enforcement is dangerous. Law enforcement is unpredictable, and having an immediate access to an armored vehicle is an unnecessary necessity for us, or an unfortunate necessity for us, I should say. So the MRAP is nearing the end of its useful life. Like I said, it was used when we acquired it. We've talked to city staff, Rick Legg specifically, who helps us with maintenance on this, and he let us know that city staff lacks some training on handling big military vehicles. It can be nearly impossible to acquire parts for it, contrary to some suggestions. I'm not one to fly overseas and grab parts for it. Thank you. But it's also, we lack diagnostic tools for it. So maintenance on this has been a problem. We have went periods of time with it being down, with it being not available to us in case of emergency. So that's another issue we're dealing with. The other problem that we've run into with the MRAP is that it's not capable of being immediately deployed. It's got it's really large, so we can't keep it locally. We can't keep it at the police department. We have to keep it in a off-site location. It also has a system in it that requires a long warm-up process. This process can take 20, 30 minutes. If it's really cold, it could take longer than that. It can't even physically move because it's got to build up air so that the braking system works, but also the engine, you can cause damage if you don't warm it up. So it really has been, it's deterred us from using it in the times that we could have used it, and it almost makes it impossible to use it in a hasty deployment like a civilian rescue type situation, an officer rescue type situation. My proposal tonight is that council consider the purchase of a Lenco Bearcat. The Bearcat is a purpose-built vehicle that is designed for civilian law enforcement use. This is a smaller, more maneuverable vehicle. It's something that would be a lot more beneficial to us than what we currently have. And again, what we have is reaching the end of its life. The Bearcat runs on standard diesel engine, so it's a little smaller vehicle, so it would be stored at the police department. It would also be stored in climate-controlled environment. Therefore, it would be a perfect situation for us to use on a hasty deployment, again, to rescue a civilian or an officer. The Bearcat would also be the primary vehicle used by our department's tactical team. Our tactical team averages over the last several years around 12 deployments a year, so that comes down to 1 a month. I always jokingly say it's more like 3 in a week and then nothing for 3 months, but it averages out to about one time a month. This would be something that they would deploy with regularly. I've got some other tactical experts here with us, but I would tell you, as being the team commander right now and also serving on the team for well over a decade, if we had armor with us to take to every single situation, that's what we would choose to do. Unfortunately, we're choosing not to do it because we don't have the capability right now. The MRAP, it's too cumbersome, it's too big, it doesn't fit the places we need to go. So this would allow us to do just that. Without extending the meeting any longer, I just ask the council to move forward with the process of allowing us to acquire this. I do want to make a note that Lenco does have the state bid for armored vehicles here in the state of Iowa. And then another point of note is that these are an 18-month lead time. So moving forward with this, fairly quickly still means a delay in us having this at our disposal. So I'll open up to questions that you have.
Any questions or comments up there?
If I may.
You may.
I know when you had the display model up there, I know Councilor Mitchell and I were both there, and I was really impressed with the Bearcat. I was. And what I was also was, I forgot how big that MRAP was. I mean, that thing's like a tank. And what we need to help our police department is something that's quick, nimble, and can get the job done. Just the thought of having an event that you got to have the MRAP there, but you can't get it there for a little while, or something breaks on it and you can't fix it, you can't find anything to fix it. I think this is something that is needed in Marshalltown. With the 18-month time between when you order it and when you get it, I think it's important that we move quickly to get the darn thing ordered. I would like to hear Carol's ideas on financing.
Yeah, we're proposing to use bond proceeds to purchase this. It's appropriate because the lifespan of the vehicle is beyond the life of the bond, basically. So I think we can, we would propose that we do that. I believe that we can we can make the purchase prior to issuing the bonds. Is that right? Yeah. So that we could act on this fairly quickly.
Make a motion that the city move forward in purchasing a Bearcat for the police department.
I'll second that.
Okay. Other discussion up here? How about out there?
Lonnie Hoagland, 1408 East Main. Did I miss it? How much is it? I didn't hear that dollar amount.
$316,663.
And if I'm correct, the MRAP goes back to where it came from.
Yes, and that's another reason that we're interested in moving forward. The MRAP currently has some value, and by value I mean there's other agencies that are on a waiting list that would take it. We're kind of stuck with it. The program won't just take it back. They'll take it to give it to somebody else. So if we get stuck with this thing and it's no longer serviceable, we're in a bad position trying to deal with it too. So yeah, for us, it's working right now. It's running. There are places that will take it, and we would be able to get rid of it fairly readily, is my understanding.
Other public comment?
Jim Shaw, 522 North 2nd Street. I'm just a little confused. Are we buying one or are we leasing one?
Buying.
Okay, I'm in favor of that.
I'm amazed that it's 12 times a year. Wow.
Did you think it was more or less?
I thought it'd be less.
No. Yep. So
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Some years are a little less than that, but
Well, and then
yeah.
if they're, that's only half the time that if 2 or 3 times that you'd want to be using it if it were more mobile, that indicates a need to me. I didn't really, I have been interested in watching. I know you were the dog, but you had a canine with you, so you send the dogs in, but they can get shot. Some people are using robots now. Some forces are using robots. Some are using the drones that'll go into a building and check things out for you. But this is a nice safety device.
Yeah, it definitely allows us to be a little closer and still in a safe position. So
Let's call the roll.
Kell?
Yes.
Bodyhoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Good. One more item. And that's our 4-year 27 budget discussion, rental inspections, code enforcement, parking, community and economic development and planning and zoning.
Good evening, almost good night after me. You get to go home and go to sleep. So the first budget item that I'd like to speak, did I say my name? That's how tired I am. Deb Millizer, Housing and Community Development Director. The first budget discussion I'm going to talk about is our rental inspection program. This program brings in revenue through rental registration and inspection fees, but our expenses are mainly personnel benefits, contracted inspection services, and those have been higher than revenues for the past several years. That creates consistent deficits which are covered by the general fund. Looking at recent history, in fiscal year 23, expenses were about $159,000. In fiscal year 24, they rose to about $177,000. And in 2025, we budgeted a little over $207,000. Year to date for fiscal year 26, we're running at about $56,000, which we're just, into the first quarter of the fiscal year, with a full projection again in the $200,000 range. About 40 to 45% of our costs are due to the safe building contract, while the rest, 55 to 60%, are city personnel, benefits, nuisance costs, publications, and overhead. How the current safe building contract works today is inspections are $90 per dwelling, $50 for a duplex or townhome, and $20 per apartment, capped at $400 for complexes up to 16 or more units. Re-inspections are charged at the same rate as an initial inspection. Administrative costs such as scheduling, reporting, tenant owner calls are included at no extra charge. The policy decision before you tonight is I'm asking whether to continue contracting with Safe Building or move towards a full in-house model. Our contract with Safe Building is up mid-November, so we'll need to make a decision if we want to put out another RFP or if we want to keep the contract or if we want to hire another in-house inspector. The Safe Building column, the table that I provided to you reflects our current operating model and one of in-house plus the contract. So the math is not quite right on the in-house. I forgot to add our current on there too, but I've broken that out as I talk to you. The in-house column reflects the cost of adding a second inspector, so we could eliminate the Safe Building contract. With Safe Building, our annual costs run between $170,000 and $185,000. With two, if we were to move to two in-house inspectors, year one would be about $180,000. So that would be the salary and benefits of two contractors. Plus, we'd need to get another vehicle so that inspector could make the rounds in Marshalltown and Tama and Hardin counties, because we do cover HUD in those areas. Safe Building, I broke out the advantages and disadvantages. With utilizing Safe Building, some of the advantages include that we have predictable, scalable costs, and we have no long-term personnel obligations, and they manage their own training and certifications. If we were to, the Safe Building drawbacks is we do have higher reoccurring costs, less direct control or accountability, and limited relationship building with landlords and tenants. If we were to move to in-house, the advantages of having two in-house inspectors, which we did used to have probably, about 4 years ago or so from what I can tell. We used to have Joni, and then we also had Becky doing that. In-house advantages of going back to two in-house inspectors are potential annual savings after the first year, stronger accountability and consistency, better integration with our nuisance zoning and building staff. There would be more natural conversations. Currently, right now, Becky communicates quite often with code enforcement and with Clayton for planning and zoning, and that would also build trust and continuity with property owners and tenants. Some of the in-house challenges, if we were to move back to a two in-house inspectors, would be startup costs for the vehicle and equipment, long-term obligation for salary benefits and IPERs, less flexibility if inspection volumes drop, and potential coverage gaps if a staff person were to leave. The Safe Building contract, as I mentioned earlier, is up in mid-November, so having direction from council will let us know whether we need to prepare for putting out a new RFP or if we look at bringing or start recruiting for an additional in-house inspector. So my key question for council tonight is whether you would like for me to continue how we are doing it now and put out an RFP for another, like Safe Building or another contractor such as that, or if you think we should look at a model of bringing an in-house inspector back in like we did before.
Okay, the floor is open up here.
Your Honor, I'd like to propose an RFP for seeing what is available for competitive bids.
Your Honor, Carol, would you be comfortable bringing this talent in-house? I mean, if they'd report up through you.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the benefits that have been outlined here are very valuable to have that in-house expertise. And it's a potential cost savings. So, yes, I would say yes to that.
Your Honor, if I may? Sure. Safe Building, their contract expires in November, is that correct?
Yes.
I guess I would lean towards, I want to bring everything back in-house. There are no cons because we just establish a fee schedule that covers it, and we make a little, you know. But with Safe Buildings' contract expiring in November, I would lean towards talking to them about it, just extending their contract 6 months to a year, because we're not going to get a position filled that fast. It takes us forever to fill a position. So I would say, I would like Carol to weigh in on 6 months or a year extension working with Safe Building.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think to seek an extension of the current contract and give us time to ramp up to that, yeah.
Your Honor, and I'd support that. I just didn't see November being feasible at all.
I should have clarified that I wanted to talk to them about extending it a little bit, or I should have clarified that. I worked on all of these at once, and some things skipped my marbles, so I apologize.
And I'm going to be honest, may I? I'm going to be honest, Deb, some of your numbers aren't jiving right. So we need to buy some time for you and for us. And I would say the answer is Safe Buildings, you know, asking them to step up and help us out for 6 months or a year. If you and Carol can negotiate that and come back to us.
I agree with that.
Anybody disagree with that? That earlier motion died for lack of a second, but there may be a consensus to, I don't think so. I don't know. But
We understand the direction.
Okay, so if we're moving on to the next one is Code Enforcement Division budget. The Code Enforcement Division is responsible for nuisance abatement and management of dangerous and dilapidated structures. Revenues are primarily generated through nuisance charges and reimbursements. However, these revenues consistently fall short for covering expenses. Our expenditures are driven by personnel and benefits, nuisance abatements such as cleanup, snow removal, and weed control, and also demolitions. As a result, code enforcement operates at a significant annual deficit requiring substantial general fund support. Marshalltown's budget for code enforcement is very comparable to peer communities such as Grinnell and Newton. Like us, they balance personal costs, nuisance abatements, and demolition expenses in similar ranges. And like most cities, code enforcement is partially funded through the general fund and expected to run a deficit. It's widely recognized as a public good such as police, fire, or public works, necessary for maintaining safe, clean, and stable neighborhoods, even if it's not revenue generating. Looking at historical numbers, in fiscal year 23, we brought in about $20,000 in revenue against the $166,000 in expenses, which is a deficit of roughly $146,000. Fiscal year 24 revenues improved to $45,000, but expenditures were $177,000, leaving a deficit of $131,000. In fiscal year 25, $191,000 in expenses and $145,000 in deficit. In fiscal year 26, year-to-date, revenues are about $10,500 with $87,000 in expenditures, leaving us a deficit of about $77,000 in the red so far. The main cost drivers are wages, benefits, which exceed $120,000 annually. Payroll increase in fiscal year 25 was due to hiring a part-time code enforcement officer, which strengthened coverage but did add to salary and benefit obligations. Other significant costs include nuisance abatement. In fiscal year 25, residential cleanups totaled $49,000, weed control $36,000, and snow removal was just a little over $1,000. We also saw a spike in legal expenses, about $5,700, which is due to the property maintenance project, which has been pushing chronic nuisance and housing code cases through the legal channels. Postage also increased significantly in fiscal year 25 with more than $6,700 spent due to numbers of certified nuisance mailings sent. To address these rising costs, staff is recommending that council consider a fee structure update, specifically raising the administrative fee from the current flat rate of $100 to $150 for the first offense, with an additional $50 escalation for each subsequent offense within a 12-month period. We also recommend increasing the postage fee from $6 to $8 per notice to reflect the actual cost of certified mailings. The escalating fees is what Grinnell does. Newton has a flat 150, but Grinnell does an escalating for each occurrence afterwards. If we were to do the flat increase of $150, that would generate an additional $22,000 more annually. This is based off the numbers that we already have. Adding the escalation for repeated offenders could bring in $25,000 to $28,000 more each year. I did talk to, Joe, and he has been employed with the city for about 8 years, and he said that the $100 fee has been the same since before he got here. So it hasn't been raised in several years, is my understanding. The pros of this approach of increasing the fees would improve cost recovery, better alignment with peers, encourage quicker compliance from repeat violators, and the cons are potential hardships for low-income homeowners, collection challenges, and possible public perception that fees are punitive. At this point, I know that we generally, from my experience, the short time that I've been here, in late spring, early summer, we do a fee adjustment at that time. So I'm not necessarily saying that we have to adjust fees right now, but I think that's something that we should look at in the future. Do you have any questions for me?
I personally thought we were already jumping up the price of second and third infractions, so I'm surprised we aren't. And how long has Joe been here?
8 years.
Yeah. Is there a consensus that we ought to be jumping the fees up and be similar to what other cities are doing?
Your Honor, if I may?
Yeah.
I would be in favor of raising the penalty up for the habitual offenders, and we've been way too lenient on people. And if we get the point across, people will start picking stuff up.
Your Honor, I just want to clarify, make sure the public understands. When they get the notice, if they abate, if they clean up the issue, there is no fine.
That's correct.
Okay, I just
So
want to make sure that you have a time limit when you get the letter.
depending on what the violation is, it's 7 to 10 days that the public has an opportunity to take care of whatever the issue may be. And then if they don't do that, we go back to check before we send our contractor out to take care of it.
So that being said, I guess I would, if it's been $100 for that long, and I guess I'm okay with upping that a little bit. Everything else has gone up. We've got to, and I mean, with this stuff, this is such an important issue. I don't have a problem with moving lost money in to cover this too, but that takes some pressure off the general fund. But we've got to get some better balance with the fees, like the mayor was saying, in the second and third offenses.
I would suggest that we cast a little wider net on looking at peer cities. You know, some of the cities that are similar size to Marshalltown, we might take a look at those. I think largely what you're seeing is that we have really increased our nuisance enforcement, which is a good thing. And that's driven some of these costs that we're not recovering.
Your Honor, Carol, what's the idea of looking at the peer cities? I mean, it's not like this is a competitive benefit to Marshalltown.
No,
I'm okay with, like what Mark says. I mean, habitual offenders, let's penalize them so they don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, look at peer cities as far as what they charge for a second offense, how they escalate. I'd be curious of how often they actually recover the fee. You know, sometimes you don't recover the fee. So, you know, it's assessed against their taxes, but, you know, it's not always something that we recover. So anyway, I would just want to take a little closer look at that.
I support that, but I also support doing raise the fee and go escalating.
So may I make a motion that we give staff direction to come back with the hard numbers and we'll look at it?
Yeah, I like that motion. Is there a second? Okay. let's just call the roll on that one.
I'm sorry, who was the second? Thank you. Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lolleyhoff?
Yes.
I've forgotten whether it was Dubuque or Clinton. One of the two actually has 2 enforcement officers. But I did want to mention that the person we hired that's half-time parking and half-time nuisance enforcement has really stepped up on both those things for us.
Yeah, I would mention, when I worked in Muscatine, we had 2 nuisance enforcement officers, but one was half-time rental inspections.
Oh.
So that could be an interesting combination, too.
Wow.
So speaking of parking enforcement, that is my next item. Parking Enforcement Division is responsible for administrative parking violations, leases, and meter-related we don't have meters, meter-related revenues, as well as managing enforcement activities. We hired a parking enforcement officer in June of 2024. That's roughly, and Matt was a full-time employee with the police department at that time. And then in August of 2024, the position transitioned to the Housing and Community Development, where it is now split between parking enforcement and code enforcement. That change has made a noticeable impact. Revenues grew my mouth is so dry here. Revenues grew significantly in fiscal year 25, with actuals exceeding budget projections by more than $34,000. Looking at the trends in fiscal year 24, revenues were about $79,000, expenses were $75,000, leaving a small surplus. In fiscal year 25, revenues rose to $110,000, with expenses of about $87,000, creating a surplus of nearly $24,000. For fiscal year 26 so far, year-to-date revenues are about $14,000 and expenses about $23,000, leaving us with a shortfall at an early point in this year. The main costs in the divisions the main cost in this division are personnel, wages, benefits, insurance, and retirement tied to parking enforcement officer. Other operational costs include fuel and vehicle maintenance, parking software, signage, and utilities for charging station. Revenues continue to be driven entirely by tickets, with smaller contributions from leases and the electric vehicles charging station. In terms of performance, between July 24 and July 2025, our parking enforcement officer issued 3,723 tickets. Since July 1st of this year, he has issued 525 tickets that have already been issued. Those enforcement activities raised revenues from $79,000 in fiscal year 24 to $110,000 in fiscal year 25. The added ticket revenues cover about 70 to 75% of the officer's parking-related costs. While the program is not fully self-supporting, the revenue substantially offsets expenses while also achieving the program's true purpose, which is ensuring compliance, turnover of spaces, and fairness to both businesses and residents. On efficiency, the shared staffing model, splitting the officer between parking and code enforcement, maximizes resources and keeps costs down. Like in other cities, parking enforcement here is designed primarily to maintain compliance and turnover rather than to serve as a profit center. Fee for service opportunities for this is limited beyond our current structure of fines and leases. Our revenues are in line with peer communities and are intentionally structured to promote compliance, not profit. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions about parking enforcement.
Sounds like you don't have any recommendations, though.
No, unless we were to raise parking tickets. I think they're $20, maybe with the surcharge or whatever on it. It might be $22, $23.
We go up, graded.
They're $20, and then after 30 days, it goes to 25.
I mean, if there's a repeat offender I can name, I know our.
Oh, an escalated fee?
Yeah, I know where they park, and so does our parking enforcement guy, and but they're up to 12 tickets in the last 2 months.
I think our parking enforcement guy, who's pretty wonderful, yeah, he has some regulars.
But my question is, could we make the second one in 12 months, or the third one go up a little bit?
I didn't look into that. I don't know how we would do that for the software that we have.
It's more driven by escalation if you don't pay it within a certain time period, yeah.
They have the option to tow the vehicle after 5 unpaid tickets.
In Iowa City, they used to mark the cars and chalk them. Maybe use something a little stronger. You know. Yeah.
Your Honor?
Yes.
I have a question maybe for Chief Jones. Would you prefer the public let the parking enforcement officers know when there is a problem in their neighborhood that may not be addressed? So somebody has a party and they decide to park 10 cars in their front yard, that kind of thing. How would the police department like to be notified?
We can do it a couple different ways. If they want to call our communication center, they can send us a message and we can put in a daily bulletin for all the officers that are there. Otherwise, we can definitely get a message from City Hall about anybody that has that approved. Usually we try to chime in on whether it's safe to do that, but most often we approve those types of parking requests.
Your Honor. Chris, so if you get a call during the day, do you transfer that information to Matt so you keep your officers open? And then the second question is Matt generating more revenue for us than your entire force in parking tickets?
I'll answer the second one first. More than likely, he is. He does a good job at getting out there, and he also branches out from the Central Business District to get out into the neighborhoods, which I'm very proud that they do that. That hasn't always been the case. What was the first one? I apologize.
The first one is if a call comes in to the non-emergency number or not the calls to 911 center during the day when Matt's on the clock, do you transfer those to him and let him handle those to keep your officers doing other things?
More than likely, I would probably have an officer do that if it was easy in their area. Officers still have a responsibility in a designated area to do parking. If it was an uptown timed parking request, I would transfer that to Matt.
I think the whole idea is to keep you guys keeping us safe. I mean, I still want you writing tickets, but you know.
So do I. I want them to keep
Except
writing
on my-
tickets too. So
Except on my street.
no. We try to encourage officers to go out and write as parking tickets as they come across them. I don't really. I would choose to not rely just on one person to be able to do that responsibility. It's good that everybody pitches in.
So are we ready to move on to the next one? Everybody wants to get home? Okay.
We have a lot of caramel corn up there.
So then the next one is community and economic development, and in community and economic development functions include planning and zoning, housing and urban renewal, direct economic development support, and contracted partnerships with the Marshalltown Central Business District and the Chamber of Commerce. Revenues are minimal, mostly from zoning permits. Expenditures are driven by personnel, consulting and legal services, incentive grants, and 2 large external contracts that we had. Like other service functions, this division consistently operates at a deficit and requires general fund support. Historical trends, revenues are modest. Planning and zoning permits brought in about $7,900 in fiscal year '24, just over $9,500 in fiscal year '25, and we have about $6,000 budgeted for fiscal year '26. There are no direct revenues from economic development, housing and urban renewal, or the chamber contract. On the expense side, costs are primarily personnel and benefits and planning and zoning, incentive grants, consulting, legal fees, and annual contracts with the MCBD and chamber. One line to highlight is payments to other entities. This is not a single contract, but 2 separate annual agreements. I know there's been plenty of discussion, and I'm not bringing this up to have a conflicting discussion, but it's just part of my budget model that I need to share. There's about $100,000 for economic development services through the chamber, about $250,000 for tourism and promotional services, also contracted through the chamber and funded by the hotel motel tax. Together, these 2 contracts total roughly $350,000 annually. Main cost drivers, planning and zoning staff wages, Benefits and related operating costs, consulting fees spiked in fiscal year '24 and '25 when the city had a contract with an outside planner, Bolton and Mink. That contract was until December of '24 when we were fortunate enough to get Clayton. Those invoices totaled about $57,000 plus roughly $12,800 in legal publications tied to high volume of rezonings. These were temporary and not an expense, an expected expense to reoccur. We also had a contract with Cindy Kendall that was also while we were in transition of staff. Incentive grants, including city code, facade, and safety and security grants. These fluctuate every year, and they depend on the project timing. When they're used to help revitalize downtown, encourage investment, and expand the tax base. Our external contracts are $60,000 to MCBD and the $350,000 to the Chamber and Tourism. For efficiency opportunities, it was hard to find any opportunities other than possibly reviewing the contracts for MCBD and the Chamber. I don't know that that's an answer. Consulting costs, other efficiencies, consulting costs tied to staff turnover are not ongoing. Incentive grants are an intentional investment to grow the community and tax base. Those vary from year to year. So there's very limited opportunities to have additional efficiency there. Fee-for-service opportunities, fee opportunities are minimal. Planning and zoning fees produce modest revenue, but most other expenditures like grants and contracts are meant as investments rather than billable services. Expanding fees beyond zoning permits could discourage development. Community and economic development provides critical functions and partnerships that support growth and vitality, community redevelopment. Revenues are modest, expenditures are significant, and while there are some opportunities to review contracts, most costs represent deliberate investments into the community for the community's long-term health. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on this.
Are there any?
Okay, so I think I'm the last act. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. And with that, thanks for coming. We are adjourned.
Disregard.